fun Sunday so far, and we're only one set in. Coming up next, it's going to be the Gladiators taking on the Dragons, as you just saw. It's Gore, it's Trelly, and of course, Trelly, today is a very special Sunday. It's Mother's Day. Of course, I'm actually really excited. I'm going to call my mom after work on the way home today. I think we talked to Katie's mom this morning as well. So
great.
We're doing our due diligence. You at chat should also do it. But of course, we want to say thank you to all the moms out there for the SPL.
Wait, that's my mom.
All watch. Yeah, Trelly's mom, even included.
She's on the side. Bottom left. That's her. She's out of frame, but that's her. I don't think we knew she was there, but she was.
You know what's funny? I remember when that was being taken because on the right, those are Dave's parents. Yeah. And we were talking, I had been talking to Dave's mom. That was the first time that we had met, despite the fact that we had worked together for years at this point. And I'm pretty sure they're local as well. And so I remember because your parents came up and said hi, and then it was like, oh no, we've got to go to the desk. That was at Worlds. So I guess if you want to meet players' moms, they're going to be at Worlds at least watching me. That's a really weird, specific thing to want, though. But happy Mother's Day to all of them. We're really happy to have all of you in the community. Of course, we notice your support, and we're really just thankful. They're all incredibly nice. They're all very supportive. Have to give the shout-out specifically to Neil Ma's mom, who was in the crowd at Worlds making people chant for the Warriors while they were playing. It was a very fun time. And at this point, I think this is half and half, a happy Mother's Day and a reason to show up to Worlds, right? Yeah. It's just a fun event, going to bring a lot for you. It's just a good time and hopefully a good Sunday. And so far for us, it has been, right?
Oh, yeah.
A very, very fantastic set number 1, 3 games, all of them incredibly entertaining. That last one maybe has like 15 minutes that you could probably, if you're watching it in the future, you probably just like tap the right arrow, fast forward through. But now we're getting into one that I'm really interested in, Charlie, because when you look at like the order division, right, where we just where we were looking at the Kings, right, that loss is important maybe over there. When you look at the Chaos division, which is where these two are, it's the Warriors and then everybody else.
Yep.
And these are part of the everybody else, right? And that's where we're looking for some wins.
Yep. And I think both teams hungry for some wins right now, just because I would say everyone in that Chaos division just needs some wins. Of course, besides the Warriors, they're hogging them all. And the Jade Dragons have been taking some unfortunate losses, games that they think maybe they could have won if they played a little bit differently. The picks and bans have come into question a fair bit, as well as the Gilded Gladiators. Unfortunately, that same vein of conversation. Just haven't been able to find that consistency, which, we're getting pretty deep into the start of the phase here, and not being able to find that consistency and not being able to find a consistent voice for your team is a bit of a struggle.
I'm trying to figure out, I guess, who you are, right? Like you said, trying to figure out what your voice is, what your goals are to accomplish. It has been fun, though, watching the Gladiators play as of recent, right? This team maybe haven't found the wins that they have wanted, but they have been able to find more, I think, than some were expecting after the way Week 2 had gone, right? Going into Week 3, especially getting a win against the Kings, a big win for the Gladiators, and pushing a lot of other teams to the brink, kind of showcasing, I think, what they have. And I believe Snoopy now the only one missing from the studio for them. So Gladiators, a team that I'm excited to watch. I think just everything about it's an incredible team in theory, right, Trelly? And like you said, it's just finding that identity. We've gotten to see several different pop-offs. I mean, for a while there, we were talking about KDAs and Stu were pretty much synonymous.
Yep.
And when you talk about this team, Kyrmi is very difficult to not gravitate towards because of what he's brought for him.
Yep. I think, the Gladiators have a lot of win conditions, call it. When Scary D's having a good matchup, the team looks real good. Kyrmi's able to play through that lane. Snoopy, when he's having a good game, I think Kyrmi can, gravitate towards mid as well. It really does just depend on who's showing up on the day and who's getting that extra farm in lane.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch what they have to offer for us. I think the Glads are always an entertaining team, but you don't got to take it from me. Standing by for an interview, we've got Scary D.
Yeah, that's right. I've got Scary D, solo laner for the Gilded Gladiators. Scary D, good to have you back here. Your team found a win up against the Camelot Kings just recently. Big confidence boost for your team. How is that win still kind of riding for your team moving into a setup against the Dragons?
Yeah, I mean, we're still feeling really confident about how we can play the game. I think in our last set, our first match against the Ravens was actually extremely clean. Like, it's probably one of the best matches we ever played. But now that I'm in studio, I just think we're going to be a lot more focused than we've ever been before. Like, I just think we're going to play a lot better, yeah.
Yeah, now you're going up against the Jade Dragons, a team who has been a little all over the place as far as their play has been. Sometimes some very dominant early games, sometimes a little bit later slanted. How does your team kind of prepare for a team like the Jade Dragons to face off?
Yeah, I think we've kind of switched our playstyle a little bit. I think we're just gonna look to go for like late game drafts today, and we'll be able to just beat them in late game, basically.
Try to go for a late game there. And kind of talk to me a little bit about Soul Lane, because, you know, when you look back all the way to the qualifiers and you came through, you were playing very hyper carry style of gods over into the Soul Lane. Now it's kind of evolved more towards a lot of Vamana, Guan, Hercules, things like that. Does that kind of maybe change things up for your play style, going from that kind of more carry style of play to being more facilitator, being more of that front line?
Yeah, definitely. I just think Soul Lane as a role is different right now, like because all the items have been nerfed and changed, and Camelot was a big god I was playing too, but they with the lifesteal change to the recent patch, he's just a lot worse in Soul Lane now without the sustain. But yeah, I think it definitely it impacts my playstyle, but I'm still fine with playing the Warriors and stuff.
Yeah, it seems to have been working out well for you guys. So one final question for you, Scary. You know, it's been kind of a hard journey for you guys so far throughout this early phase. Do you think that with these last few matches you have there, maybe you can make some jumps up, you know, going from that 4th seed in your division? Think you can make some jumps up into maybe 3rd or even 2nd place?
Yeah, we definitely could. I think we're going to beat the Dragons today, and that'll put us up a little bit. So
a win against the Dragons would be a big one here for the Gladiators. Scary, thanks for coming by for the interview. I'll let you get back with your team. Good luck, and we'll throw it back over to the desk.
It's a bold claim, Shelly, not just to try and beat the Dragons, but to potentially even leapfrog up into 2nd, right? But the win, it was only a game, but the game win that the Gladiators had up against the Ravens helps in that, right? Because when we're starting to look, especially down here, when you've got teams that are 2-6, things like that,
Yep.
And that's not even a slight at anybody. That's literally everybody that's not the Warriors in the Chaos division. It is all about like what your plus minus is, where those set wins are. And so this one matters a lot. And, of course, if you're looking at the other side, you've got to look at the Dragons. Unfortunately for them, Trelly, a recent loss to the Hounds. Although, seeing them, they seem to be in good spirits. I see a smile there on LASBRA's face, maybe feeling good going into this set despite the loss earlier this week.
Yep. So I talked about earlier. Need a bounce back. Need to find some consistency. Prioritization and picks and bans is the biggest change-up that I'm looking for, just because I feel like I do not like, and I think we've all said it, I do not like Mike playing passively. It's just not a play style that I see from him, and I know a lot of these supports are sort of sitting back, but think about the top teams in the league right now. We just watched them, you know, the Kings and the Warriors. They are going in consistently. These supports are still able to make those impact plays. So I like the Yemoja, for example. Those are the kind of picks that I want to see Mike gravitate towards. It's just the healers aren't doing it for me. You know, these mages are not the play style that I imagine for PolarBearMike. I know how much he can control a team fight. I know how much he can control, you know, how a lane goes, and it just hasn't been coming up the way that I expected.
They've definitely got a specific style. I know I've seen conversations out there. Some people are worried, though. Like you had mentioned, not just about whether Mike is playing the right gods, but also this core, you know, Vote, Dardez, Nika, all of them fantastic players. We've seen it for sure. But consistent has been the issue, and that's what we've been seeing even when they were playing under the Warriors, even go back further beyond that. Some of the more dominating phases they've had were early in the year. We'll see whether or not they can maybe make some of that magic happen here. Good win. Maybe needed for these dudes. Not really for anything other than morale, right? Like you said, maybe mental, kind of bouncing forward. You already know, I think the glorious portion of being in the Chaos division is you already know that you're going to be playing through the playoffs. It's just about seeding over there, where you're going to end up, what kind of games you're going to be dealing with, and teams you're going to be dealing with. So, as mentioned by, I think, the Gladiators, we're looking here more or less for who's going to be 2nd, who's going to be 3rd, who's going to be 4th. It's all seeding, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think at this point, you're right. You're not looking to get first. Obviously, it's not possible, but in this case, trying to find an identity, and I would be treating these games as practice, right? Glorified scrims. Glorified scrims that are being broadcasted, right? You need to find that extra level of, you know, what is working for us, what is our new play style. We've been able to talk to the Dragons in interviews, and they're still trying to figure it out themselves, you know, what works, what doesn't, how this new team sort of synergizes together. They've been playing together for a while, and we've seen high points, of course. I think that the earlier weeks for the Jade Dragons looked very explosive. They looked very active early. That's the kind of play style we expect from the logo of the Jade Dragons. But past couple of weeks have been looking a little bit lost. Not to say the Gilded Gladiators haven't, but this is a matchup that is going to be very telling, I would say, for both of these squads And you got to just treat it as it is. It's practice. You're not going to be jumping too much placement-wise. I guess the Gilded Gladiators have more to gain in that aspect, right? They don't want to be bottom of their own division, so have to try and find a win here. But, again, I think picks and bans, in my eyes, are going to be very telling to see if the Jade Dragons are still sticking to the strategies they've been employing or if they're going to change something up.
Solo lane, I think a big one for this matchup, Nika, Scary D. Both have been reasons their teams have won. Both have had some lackluster games recently as well, so definitely a point, I think, of contention. I'm also, and looking back specifically towards the jungle, but more so a specific god, Trelly, I'm looking at Serket.
Oh, yeah.
This one. I feel like we've seen her be a sort of must ban, and if I'm glancing like just at a very quick look, when she's not banned and is allowed through, I believe she's been winning a majority of the games, at least this week, that I have in front of me. So LASBRA loves that god.
Yep.
Was trying to play it. Absolutely hounded the hounds on it.
Nice.
Just a few days ago. Actually, not even a few days ago. Yesterday morning. And then, of course, Kyrmi, who can, I mean, this dude, you give him a hyper carry, the game, depending on how the rest of the team's feeling, could just be over based on his hands alone. We saw that up against the Kings, and we've seen it a few times from them. So, got to look at these two matchups, and specifically, I think, look at that one god. Both of these guys play it incredibly well. All of a sudden, that becomes, I think, a much heavier conversation.
Yep, and you know, since I talked about the god pool there, PBM, I feel as if it's only fair if I bring up the god pool of LASBRA, because it hasn't just been Mike that I've been questioning. The Athena just hasn't been working for me. I mean, LASBRA's been talking it up, and he's been going back to it. It just takes it seems like we're in such a different meta to where the Athena can work. You really do need multiple places to be able to ult to find kills, right? You can't. You got to have at least one lane that's winning, so you can constantly go over there. But I would say you need multiple, because the Athena just falls behind in that regard. So a lot of things that I want to see from the Dragons in particular changing up there in picks and bans.
Well, we'll see the change-ups potentially right here. Picks and bans game 1. Gladiators will be your first pick. And it's so interesting when you take in the dynamics of teams, take in the picks that they really like. And maybe, Trelly, start to look at where their first picks have been. Marty, very popular one for the Gladiators. They've picked him up 3 times. Unfortunately, because of their win-loss, most of these have not been super successful. Vamana as well, another pick, tied for Marty as their most first-pick god this phase. Hercules has been up there as well. And you have to imagine that if you look at this week's games, specifically, Serket, very high on their list. Gladiators would not be surprised if that's something that's on their mind. The Dragons have done their homework, though. The 2 gods that I mentioned as the most picked from the Gladiators, at least in the first pick spot, taken away. And all of a sudden, you're wondering maybe where they're going to go on the other side. Nox, Yemoja. Any god in particular screaming to you that needs to be banned out here? Aphrodite apparently is the selection.
I mean, I would assume the Gilded Gladiators are still able to go to that Serket if it gets through. So the Jade Dragons, as much as you really want to give it into LASBRA's hands, are you taking that risk is the question. It looks like yes, the Jade Dragons are. They're going to ban the Merlin instead and give the Serket up. And now it's time to call the bluff. Do the Gilded Gladiators care? They do. They're going to grab that immediately. Of course, that does leave open the Hercules that Nika could go to. The Horus is also available, a pick that Nika has went to, and PBM, I think I would love to see pilot that god. And that's got to be the insta-lock, but what's the part 2? Do you say Horus is going over to solo, so we just grab something like hell, or are you going to grab that Hercules as well? And if I'm honest, I'd prefer to see the Hercules here.
What about Hebo? Do you like Hebo in this right now in general, and especially maybe against a Serket?
Hebo's fine. I think Serket bullies the heck out of him early. We saw it last set what can happen if a Hebo doesn't get off to a great start.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's not my favorite. Still fine, but it looks like they are going to go to the hell.
Yeah, 2 H gods, and they go for the 3rd.
Yep, I did say it was a possibility. I didn't want to see it. It comes through. But maybe the change-up, maybe the game style change will be different. And in this case, the Gilded Gladiators are still leaning towards that sustain. They still want some extra heal. And Guan Yu and Terra are going to provide just that.
Healing and tankiness, right? We saw what a Guan Yu can do both well and maybe unwell. Well, maybe not the way I want to word it there for these teams. Actually lost the last 2 games he just played. Warriors didn't win with him, despite the fact that Sot did everything in his power in game 2. And then, unfortunately, for variety there in that last game, we got to see a lot of it. But like you said, healing's going to be there, and that's going to keep up with the horrors and the hell, maybe and then some. Plus the prots you now get from Terra. Scary D in the interview mentions that healing change.
Yep.
And that patch was a very big one, actually, for all 3 of their gods, right? Serket being able to keep the 100% anti-heal, and being one of the only gods that still has that in the game. That was a pretty massive heal.
Wow.
Cthulhu locked in.
That changes things up.
And it shifts the dynamic of this team a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that tells me that it's not Mike on the hell. That one will be going over to Dardez. Mike will take the Horus, which I like a lot. This is what I said. When I said I see Horus, I want Mike to take it. He did. And that does leave open the Rama, which I really thought was going to be highly contested there in that slot. But considering that, you know, we're not giving Mike the hell, and of course Mike already has his pick, Duo Lane can take some bans here because, you know, the Gilded Gladiators will be fine with letting Stu take that Rama. But time and time again, in the second wave of bans, it has been the Outwash. We haven't seen it played much at all, but banned heavily just because of how much healing is going to be in tow here for the Horus, for the Hell, and the Cthulhu. They don't want to try and let that god through. I'm curious if the Rama does get picked up in this last wave of bans, though. Maybe because both of these teams need an ADC, they're not going to go towards it. It's just been so dominant. I guess the Iza is still available, so both of those picks have been extremely dominant in this slot. But Cern, still not even picked up, and it is going to be the Rama. That's what I was expecting.
Someone we've been seeing a whole lot. You had mentioned Cern as well. Cernunnos could make it through here. Jungle bans seem to be the target. The Bakasura. Other bans specifically versus the Dragons that have been up there. I mean, Hera, right? If you now know that the Hell's there, you don't have to worry too much about the mid lane. So you go way further down the list. Athena's in that list. Do you think the Dragons Athena is worth throwing one of your bans towards, or do you not care about it, especially with this comp?
I don't care about it.
Neither do they.
I don't want to see it picked, as I said. It's just LASBRA, he plays it a lot, and sometimes it has worked, but when this team looks good and when LASBRA's on point, it's on these assassins, man. I mean, even the Warriors, when he used to go to them, I was saying, just go to assassins. You know, that is the play style that LASBRA is looking for. I think he likes to 1v1 in the jungle. He likes to get aggressive, and he likes to try and diff the enemy jungler. And in this case, it's hard to say you're going to diff a Serket. She just does so well in the early game, and now that she has that extra crit, can facilitate into late game 1v1s just super easy. With Susano and Baka taken away, you're limiting options. I mean, Fenrir, I would say, is at the top of the list, but still has a rough time into Serket. You're pretty much delegated to be an ult bot. It's something that we haven't seen in a while, but Vote does like to go to. The Cupid shows himself. He's going to get value out of the cripple field into a matchup like this.
And it's really interesting. You look at maybe the top 2 gods for the Dragons, and it feels, okay, meta, maybe a little further beyond, right? We haven't seen a whole ton of Cthulhu. Cupid feels like something I think that really Vote has only been playing. And so it's definitely forming a team that, Charlie, if we're talking about trying to find identity, maybe they're still looking for it. Maybe this is going to be it. Good team fight that exists in this one. Like you said, the cripple field, super helpful versus like Guan, Serket, and Terra.
And a possible serve that could be grabbed.
Yeah, there's still so much on the table for the Gladiators. Presumably waiting for LASBRA's pick last. I do want to play, I'm going to call it Devil's Advocate.
Okay.
And just to ask a weird question for what's on the board. Can Horus jungle? And can he do it well enough that you would lock it into anything or play that against anything the Gladiators have?
He can, but I don't want. His clear.
He can, but if he does it, I'm taking my headset off and walking out of the building.
His clear is just not quick enough to keep up with, you know, the other junglers in the meta, especially not a Serket. His late game damage, if you're going full burst, is just not enough. This is a fantastic grab, though. Big circles, big setup, big CC. When you look at Hunbats, where's the beads burn? Oh, yeah, we've got a Horus, we've got a Cthulhu, we've got a Cupid. That'll be coming through. I would like this pick a lot if the Jade Dragons decide to go to it, and they do. This is a nasty top 5 here for the Jade Dragons. It takes a bit to get online. You're not looking for ganks until you get ultimates online. And I guess the real issue becomes you're really only fighting with ultimates, right? If you don't have Descent into Madness and Fear No Evil, your team fight doesn't look that good. It's a lot of, okay, we've got CC from Horus, but we're going to wait for those ultimates to be up. So I guess if the Gilded Gladiators can live the initial engage of Blink, Fear No Evil, Blink, Descent into Madness, their return fight looks pretty good. They've got plenty of healing. They've got that to sustain. But if they don't, they've got big circles to stack on top of each other.
It's a pretty big if, right? Yeah. If you can survive this onslaught of a really good team fight, then you've got maybe one of the better comps to fight back into it. But that's survival, Trelly. Terra ult, Guan Yu ult. It feels like they've got a lot to maybe even try to not just withstand, but maybe even and retaliate and maybe even kick things off themselves. Force, Cthulhu or Hunbats or Cupid to feel really awkward. But are you looking at that? Is this just a team fight? Is this anything that's going to be crazy? I mean, Hunbats we already talk about being relatively farm-oriented early on. Serket can get hands-on. Do you see some early kills for the Gladiators maybe being able to offset that late-game team fight?
Certainly can. I mean, especially with the Serket, if Kyrmi is able to find some aggression, even onto LASBRA early. Because if you want to start Blink, which is going to be difficult, I would say LASBRA probably doesn't in a matchup like this. But if you do, then Kyrmi's got a pretty good target just to find those Blink Cobra's Kisses and just trying to get aggressive on a play like that. But Morgan Le Fay is also great with CC, right? So you have that lockdown of just saying, oh, we got the fear, into the push, into the knockup, and then you're dead. That's the kind of thing that the Gladiators could go for in that mid 2v2. Whereas the Jade Dragons don't want to take those fights. They want to sit until level 5. They want to play for mid-game. They want to fight around objectives. It's going to be a lot on the Gladiators to try and force those fights early on and not let the Jade Dragons just sit back and farm.
That's a team that's been looking for wins, right? They've been able to find a set win over the Kings, a game win over the Ravens. And so that's where the Gladiators' mind is at right now. And so the question falls onto you. With the way the Dragons have looked, with the way the Gladiators have looked, is this another game win for them? Are they ticking up a column over there? Or do you think that the Dragons have just got too much to fight against them?
I put some predictions out into the world about the picks and bans, and I think the Jade Dragons have answered a lot of my concerns. They don't have Mike on these passive healers. He's going to be on the Horus. They've got the Cthulhu. They've got the LASBRA on an actual assassin that can blink and get active. Those are all great things that I've wanted to see. But the Gilded Gladiators, I mean, is there anything negative to say about this draft? I think Snoopy on the Morgan Le Fay is going to be just fine. He can clear from a distance. He can stay safe. Kyrmi on the Serket, the top jungler in the league right now.
That's fantastic.
Is able to do whatever he wants. And Scary D got Guan Yu. These are all fantastic things for the Gladiators as well. It just seems it's going to be about play him on field, of course.
Well, it's the pressure, I think, right, that's rising up on them. I mean, you said it. They can perform on it. It's just the question of if they will. That Serket pick, man, that's really, I think, the linchpin that holds it together.
Yep.
Kyrmi on this god has looked incredibly good, and it's something that I think we're still going to be treated to here in game number 1. It's the Gladiators, it's the Dragons, it's J-Mac and Mifflin, and it's game 1.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gore and Trelly on the desk. That's right, it's J-Mac, it's Mifflin, and it's Doug here to bring you game number 1 of our second set of the day, and a big one for both of these teams to try and fight at least towards that second seed spot. Gilded Gladiators and Jade Dragons. Mifflin, it's been a difficult split so far for both of these teams to find wins. I mean, if we just look in the Order Division alone, 8 wins for the Oni Warriors, not even a combined 8 for the other 3 just yet to try and even catch up to that one. But good news for one of these two teams, they will add a win into that column. Question is, with compositions that have been built around Snoopy on Morgan Le Fay, a pick we're not very common to seeing, how do you kind of feel about Snoopy and Kyrmi in the early 2v2 up against Dardez and LASBRA?
I love Morgan Le Fay's early game. Once she ticks over to level 3, her damage output just ridiculous, and it's generally confirmable damage, at least the Fairy Fire. I believe that's the name of the third ability. The poke damage one, the one that sends out a little beam of dot damage, gives you movement speed. Her third ability, very good poke. Whether or not that poke's going to stick, I don't think so. Not up against a Hell, especially once PolarBearMike starts to rotate out as well, so I'm not so certain that we're going to see a whole lot of fighting in mid just between Snoopy and Dardez. Once the junglers get there, sure, Kyrmi at level 5 can start denying a bit of that healing and has the burst potential to turn things around, but as for Snoopy himself on Morgan Le Fay, not a whole lot of question marks there. I feel like that pick is perhaps a bit undervalued.
Yeah, we haven't really been seeing a whole lot of Morgan Le Fay. We had a brief stint of meta way back where Morgan Le Fay was definitely up there, but Been seeing just sprinkles of the god ever since that point there, but Hell now jumping over into the mid lane. We've been seeing this maybe a bit more frequently as of the last couple of weeks of play. It's been a lot of Hell support, Hell support, Hell support. Now we're starting to see her bump over into the mid. We saw it with Paul just yesterday. Now Dardez taking his hands on it as well, giving PBM this Horus in support. So a lot of sustain on this composition. 4 of the 5 gods with some form of team-based healing in their kit.
And an Ankh already picked up by Inbound, and a proper Ankh decision there from the support of the Gilded Gladiators. I love sustained comps. Insofar as they get doves, I don't love watching sustained metas, if I'm being completely honest, but there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and the Jade Dragons, I believe, might find themselves in that camp. I mean, the amount of healing here is just ridiculous. Maybe 1 Ankh not enough. I might even consider picking up a second one. Perhaps Scary D can go it in second slot. And all of a sudden, the team fight of the Jade Dragons just becomes so precarious where you have to play very choosy about when you want to heal.
Inbound. Stunned by damage of Vo, but now seeing some of that early CC from Snoopy. Hits 2 on the Sigil, a double taunt in as well. Dragonfly does push them away, but an easy combo for Snoopy and Kyrmi. Hit him with the fear, separates them out, sets them up for an easy Cobra's Kiss after. And if we're maybe an extra level or 2 through, could have been looking at first blood there in mid.
Could have been. Serket has so much damage in the early game. You got to be aware of that exact play. The double taunt going to drop both to about 10%, 15% every single time. Scary D steps forward. Meyer off the mark, and it's Kyrmi on the counter gank.
And now Nika falling low. Damage from Kyrmi is good to jump in. A couple more autos are needed, and it's Kyrmi. It's come up with first blood for the Gilded Gladiators, but now as LASBRA stepped too far in. Overhead smash is there.
That was close.
But no follow-up from Kyrmi or Scary D to chase him back out. 1 kill to the Gilded Gladiators, maybe a little bit more. Snoopy pushes Dardez close to the tower, but the minion wave heavily in Dardez's favor, and that bails him out.
Man, just barely off the mark with the taunt was Kyrmi. The leap out from LASBRA, perfectly timed. Had that connected, it's a double kill first blood for the Gilded Gladiators, thin margins. I'm surprised to see the Jade Dragons try and play heavily around the soul lane, especially at this portion of the game. Cthulhu's great. Descent into Madness, awesome. And when he's tanky, he's going to stay in the front line forever. Cthulhu early game, level 1 through 3, not so great. It's not easy to connect that Mire. We saw there, Scary D just heel turns and says, I won't stand in your damage, Nika. And immediately disengages, allowing Kyrmi to rotate his way through. If LASBRA wants to get involved early, and he likely doesn't anymore, considering he's trying to catch up to Kyrmi, I don't think soul lane's the place you want to go. If anything, a rotation to catch Snoopy out of mid or Stu or Inbound, a little bit easier for the Hun bots.
Yeah, Kyrmi and Snoopy will now group themselves up together to take care of the red and speed buff. We've been seeing this as the common clear strat for the jungle mid. The Gilded Gladiators, with their first blood, not only take the initial first blood bounty, but have put themselves up to about a 1,000 lead to start the game out. XP, just a shy under that, 700. Most of that coming for Kyrmi in the jungle after getting that first blood and Scary D on the assist. So now the Jade Dragons have that failed gank over on the right-hand side, which to me felt questionable just because LASBRA doesn't really have ultimate as well. That feels like that's the ideal time is once Fear No Evil is there. I think you hit it right. Maybe LASBRA shies away from this side of the map. So instead, maybe for the Jade Dragons, where does LASBRA go? Or do you think this could just be farmed? Snoopy goes into the ultimate, gets some damage against LASBRA, or into Dardez, but Fear No Evil puts Snoopy against the wall. And never mind, I'll answer my own question. LASBRA goes mid.
Yeah, Fear No Evil, not often a kill confirmation, but in a pinch will serve you well. And LASBRA, credit for the kill this time around. Snoopy, just a bit too far forward, perhaps liked his odds in the fight more than he should have. And having lost the ultimate now, won't have any say in the next couple of fights while we wait for that cooldown. Fortunately for Snoopy, though, does hold on to the beads, so LASBRA won't have a free rotation back towards mid. But facilitating a Hell, I think a smart start for the Jade Dragons. Make sure Dardez has as easy a time getting in towards that second or third item slot as possible, and then he'll pay you back later with a ton of sustain and a surprising amount of damage to boot. Doom Orb in first slot for Dardez, just on the tier 2 right now. One of the stronger tier 2s in SMITE, by the way. Surprising. I thought it would be Spear of Desolation, maybe a little bit of defense a bit later on, but the Doom Orb almost indicates to me that Dardez wants to get playing quickly. You got a lot of movement speed stacked up. It's a huge infusion of power, a little bit of penetration, but perhaps a bit of dissonance between his build and the junglers as Nika caught out and burned quick.
Well, jump in by Kyrmi. That's just enough damage for the Gilded Gladiators to knock down the Soul Laner a second time this game in only 5 minutes. Now, LASBRA, no fear, no evil. We'll walk over, deal some damage to Scary D, but Kyrmi is standing by, so no further follow-up there.
And one thing, be careful. No jump now?
Gonna be maybe difficult to walk up to this blue buff. In fact, LASBRA's not even going to give it a passing glance. He'll go to the enemy blue buff. Kyrmi and Scary D a little late to save their own, so a trade out of the blues. But maybe, Miff, one thing to ask you about Dardez. You know, when we saw Paul play the Hell.
Oh, does he have the back? No, didn't catch it.
Damage in first slot from the Hell, then double defense that Paul had built on it. Do you think maybe Dardez goes down that same path? Damage and then stack up a little bit of defensives.
Dardez is not a tanky mid laner. I think he'll likely go damage and then maybe one defense item. Wouldn't be surprised if it's like a prophetic cloak or something like that. But every time I've talked to Dardez about his individual playstyle, he says, I'm a playmaker. I want to deal damage. I want to be getting the kills, and I want to be able to do it on my own. And if that's the case, can't really be a tank mid laner. So could do it, but knowing Dardez, I think a bit unlikely.
Now Kyrmi back to the right side. It's a lather, rinse, and a repeat to try and take down Nika, but Kyrmi jumped right on top of a ward coming out of the Fire Giant pit, so Nika aware of this possible gank that will go through. So instead, Kyrmi will head back to base, and he can start working on the next part of his build. And something that we've been seeing very common in the Serket builds. I was wondering what was going on here with Mike, but no chest camp for them to steal away at this point. But one thing we've been seeing a lot in the Serket builds, Smith, has been typically going into the Stone of Binding as a second, maybe even a third item. It seems that that's just become almost a standard amongst Serket builds these days.
Yeah, a little bit of utility, burst or boost your damage output. Serket, for the most part, if she's starting a fight, is always applying some form of hard CC. So Stone of Binding finds its value regardless. The taunt, the ultimate, both proc it. So I think just a smart pickup. And one that synergizes well with the massive power spike that a full stack Transcendence will afford you. Not full stack just yet, though. 20 away for Kyrmi. About half the stacks for LASBRA, hovering at 18 on the other side. I wonder when LASBRA decides to get involved now. He's seen a bit of success in mid. He could try and rotate through again. Burning those beads would be massive. Could make you a bit easier for PBM to actually connect some of his own CC. And if Fracture connects, you know Updraft is there, and if both hit, you can trust that Dardez has got the damage behind him. But playing from a deficit, one of the most annoying things out of the jungle. It really makes you want to stick in the jungle. But it's not even safe for LASBRA, who is shut down by Kyrmi. Inbound, credit for the kill, but everything coming from Kyrmi there just catches him on the rotation through that red buff. Fear No Evil used defensively as well. So on spawn, doesn't even have a proactive play to make. Blue buff taken away as well. The Gilded Gladiators, they're just playing a very fast pace. And this was the answer originally to Cthulhu way back in the day when it was Cthulhu every game. Just sit on him in the early and don't allow him to get to that team fight phase. Smart. Nika's not suffering so much in farm, but Scary D is succeeding and looking very good now. Should be a slight disparity in net worth between the two of them. Experience going to start stacking up pretty quickly as well.
Maybe the question then comes is, we'll hold that question. Inbound, that'll be fine. Quick double dash out, gets him away from the ultimate from Mike. Second time he's used that offensively on the left-hand side. But what I was going to ask is, how much pressure is too much against a Cthulhu? How many times do you gank Nika before he just does not become valuable as a target for Kyrmi at this point? I mean, it's only a level down, but Nika's only about a half level away from Scary D at this point. At what moment is the tipping point where it's no longer worth the time to come over to this right side?
Yeah, I don't know, like 05 maybe. You know, 5th death and you're worth about 50 gold. Maybe then you're not too worried about it, but he's got level parity as of now, and keeping the Cthulhu as far out of the game as possible, I think pretty important. The only real concern now is if Kyrmi decides to continually rotate and push Nika further behind, who's dealing with Dardez? There are two massive late-game threats here in the Jade Dragons draft, and only one has gone addressed so far. Dardez allowed to free farm. And you were right, it is actually regrowth in second slot for Dardez, so a bit more utility there. I would like to see some rotations over towards the Hell soon. Kyrmi on the Circuit, uniquely suited for dealing with that god. But with the Jade Dragons and Mike hovering mid as often as he has been, could be difficult.
Scary D nearly goes down. Combo of LASBRA and Nika should be just enough to do so, and punished instantly for pulling a play out of SOT's book, ulting the totem. Now no CC immunity to get away from the Fear No Evil or from Nika. And Scary D will take a tumble here at the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, ulting the totem, I'm just not sure is ever worth it. Totem's good. Totem Skull is real good for your team. Is it worth opening the door for free rotations from LASBRA or getting Nika back into the game? I don't think so. And so the Jade Dragons come out heavily ahead on that trade on right. A TKO on Mike could send him back towards mid and open the door for just this. Gold Fury pulled. Kyrmi jumps in. That's dangerous.
Now use both of his escapes to maneuver around. Vote drops the ultimate on top of one. It's just Stuart, but Stuart will live through. Vote taken back by Kyrmi's ultimate. But a heal through from Mike just to make sure he stays alive. Snoopy needs one more shot. Doesn't get the sigil either. Vote's still alive. Kyrmi's now got to expend his time to get in, but gets hit by a heart bomb, forced out of the fight. And somehow, through it all, Vote lives with just under 100 HP.
That just can't happen for Snoopy, man. You gotta be landing your shots in a situation like that. The Gilded Gladiators fought so hard to put anybody into kill threshold, working through all their resources. TKO on the Mike. Vote steps up. Kyrmi puts in all the work, catches Vote on the disengage. Just needed a little bit of damage from your mid laner. He had options. Could have been the ultimate, could have been the one. It was neither. And so Vote walks himself out of there. And what was an advantageous position for the Gilded Gladiators, with Mike already poked out and Vote similarly poked out, tends to fizzle when you aren't able to secure your kills. That's tough. I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot of opportunities like that one. Need to be connecting your damage.
Vote lives. Jade Dragons stop the Gold Fury. We push on towards an even game. Now the Jade Dragons even maybe wanting to start up this Gold Fury. LASBRA and Vote are here. The LASBRA not super tanky to hold this one too long. He'll pass it away to Vote, and the Gilded Gladiators are unaware of what's happening until the sound cue goes through, and they've now realized they've just given up objective to the Jade Dragons, who mostly use it just to tie the game back up and even take a small lead for themselves. As far as XP is concerned, it's even across the board. Really only Stuart's the one with any kind of significant lead, and it's not much at that as Pyro started. Kyrmi wants Dardez, but the cleanse is still active when that taunt hits, and so Dardez can walk away.
Man, the Jade Dragons from the brink lose out on a team fight, reset first, and get the Gold Fury for themselves. Now, Pyromancer pulled and reset by the Gilded Gladiators as the Jade Dragons jockey for position. And the conversation of Gold Fury just to catch up, I think is massive for the Jade Dragons. They don't need a lead going into the late game. They're not necessarily even playing for the early game whatsoever. This is a composition that is entirely built on its ability to 5-on-5. So the further they get into the game, the better.
Mike will be just fine. Lives about a quarter HP. Full dive in from the Gladiators, but to start up Pyromancer, LASBRA's got ultimate, so does Nika. PBM is re-sustaining up with his team. Pyromancer low, down to a quarter HP. Nika goes into the ultimate, so does LASBRA. The Jade Dragons will steal away the Pyromancer, and LASBRA is able to sneak his way out of this one. Mike goes back in, but can't get the heal back off to get himself out of the fight, but
Yikes.
a huge ult from Vote will take down one, nearly a second one. Dardez chasing in, and the entirety of the Dragons are funneling through the jungle. A second kill this game for Nika. 2 dead on the Gladiators and a Pyromancer for the Dragons.
Dardez in the tier 2 tower. Scary D has ultimate, could chase out here, but as he turns the corner and realizes there's more members than just Dardez, could dissuade him.
Dardez ends up eating some of the damage
Yikes.
through. Nika goes through. One more shot, not enough on Kyrmi. And the 3 remaining targets of the Gilded Gladiators walk away with 10% health as the Dragons clear out the tower in the jungle.
Let's rewind it to how that fight really starts, though. It's the Gilded Gladiators playing around the Pyromancer. Maybe they're confident in their ability to out-secure the Jade Dragons because it's a non-standard mage in mid. But that's not the concern, and it shouldn't be. LASBRA is standing 15 feet in front of you, staring you down. What do you think Hunbots is going to do if you don't put him in combat, or if you're just 5 stacked on an objective? He's going to blink ult. It's pretty simple.
He's not just going to throw the monkey?
No, he's not just going to throw the monkey. And if he did, he's going to teleport to you and then ult, right? I mean, letting LASBRA hit a Category 5 natural disaster ultimate in your backline is just not how you want to start that engagement. The Gilded Gladiators show no respect to the AoE CC capacity of this Jade Dragons comp. I mean, that was a dangerous pull in general. I thought it was always about the fight, but maybe the Gladiators got that objective a bit too low and felt like they had to confirm it. But either way, it's the Jade Dragons who come out far and away ahead on that team fight.
2 kills. Pyromancer. Maybe one more. Inbound walks up. Misses stun on Vote. LASBRA standing by. Not much more can be done. At least to the Terra for now. It's the Gilded Gladiators now. They're the ones who are having to fight defensively against the Dragons on the left side of the map. This is where the Dragons have been getting more active, has been this left side. A couple of ults from Mike early game to either steal away farm or try and get an initiation going, but now the Dragons with small lead will try and start things up. Kyrmi does find some decent damage onto Mike, who does have the dash to get back to LASBRA. They're just not zoning the rest of the Dragons away from Mike, and it's giving him plenty of paths out.
I'm not even sure that the Gilded Gladiators realized there was more than Mike there. Never did LASBRA really show himself around that map, so I like the idea. Mike has been one in the past to just walk into your back camps on his own. Maybe he thought it was an opportunity to catch him out, but calculated decision from PBM and a clear escape route means that it's just Kyrmi's ultimate for nothing, essentially there. And with Oni Fury on the respawn and Nika already on the left side of the map, could be a fast Oni Fury pull for the Jade Dragons. Could be, but won't be. Instead, pressure on map, perhaps trying to control the rotation path of the Gilded Gladiators, get vision on where they are before this happens, the actual team fight.
Mike CC'd again, but still has a target to dash back to.
Oh,
Nika and Dardez all standing around. Mike, what damage he did take is being resustained by himself and Dardez at this point. Jade Dragons still keeping a few around this Fury. LASBRA maybe enough to try and distract a couple to Gilded Gladiators away from this right side of the map. But Jade Dragons aren't going right back to the Oni Fury. Just Nika's still standing by, at least in the left jungle. Means that Jade Dragons want to get this one going, but still haven't pulled the trigger on the objective just yet. But now with Vote back, he and Dardez will start it up.
Scaredy has not shown himself in lane just yet, but he is still in lane regardless, so a massive advantage to the Jade Dragons, having their soul laner here. It's going to have to be a steal. They can't fight.
Oni Fury goes to the Dragons. LASBRA stands by and stares at 3, and that's the end of the fight. Gilded Gladiators not even making an attempt to push forward after, zoning by Mike and Nika to try and keep a few players out. The Gilded Gladiators lose out on another objective, and what was a great start for them, about 1,000+ gold to kick this game off, has now swung all the way back. 4K for the Jade Dragons, and climbing with this next Pyromancer.
And the Gilded Gladiator is going to run into a wall very shortly of how do you secure kills. How do you secure objectives? The question the Jade Dragons are asking themselves. And
every time it's that same ability from Terra.
Yeah, it's Terra too, every time. Simple for the Gilded Gladiators there, and a breath of fresh air that they needed, but even then, not enough. That's a speed bump for the Jade Dragons. Their team fight still clean, and I think with the lead that they've already established, it's not, of course, an ideal situation, but it's certainly not backbreaking either. The Pyromancer being taken by the Gilded Gladiators. I'm waiting for more anti-heal. Divine Ruin now for Snoopy. The Onk's been upgraded. Maybe you want some Contagion pickups. Maybe you look towards Pestilence or Brawler's Beat Stick, because the amount of healing that the Jade Dragons have had in and out of combat has just been stifling. And as this game starts to get even further developed, my concern for the Gilded Gladiators is who's securing the kill. If Kyrmi ults somebody and they don't die, I think that's the entirety of the Gilded Gladiators team fight, so long as the Jade Dragons are playing stacked on top of each other and ready to peel out. So this is about to get a lot worse before it gets better for the Gilded Gladiators.
Jade Dragons will take a tier 1 tower for their troubles of their rotation to the left side of the map. Inbound and Stuart will have to settle for just a purple buff as they lose out on that one spat of safety for themselves on the left side. The Jade Dragons are really playing this one a bit slower. Nika now staring down 2 on his side of the map. taunted in by Kyrmi, but just not enough damage up on this Cthulhu. Now stacking into his mixture of damage, or defense, I should say, and then having the extra sustain. I mean, it's not just the in-kit healing that the Dragons have, the extra bit of sustain that Nika's now providing to his team with that Pythax piece. Just feels like the Gladiators don't have enough anti-heal to deal with them just yet.
Yeah, lifesteal, healing, conditional healing, team fight healing thanks to Nika. The Jade Dragons have got it in spades. The Gilded Gladiators at least have some answers. Terra ultimate, maybe not as much healing as what Nika's will do, but damage mitigation and protections tend to do the same thing in drawn-out team fights. But that's not what the Gilded Gladiators are looking for. They need that first bit of damage to connect. They need that first spearhead to strike true. Kyrmi's ultimate, Scary D's, I think, major indicators for the Gilded Gladiators. If both of those are down and they haven't already accomplished their goal, it's pretty unlikely that they will accomplish anything until those cooldowns are back up. So, Gilded Gladiators fans, keep your eyes on Kyrmi and Scary D's ultimates. Those are your go buttons. Jade Dragons fans, just keep your eyes on the healing numbers, the healing done chart, because that's their win condition, and it's probably pretty high already. 6,000 for Dardez, doubling the second highest. It's tough.
And still with even Mike vote right below that. Nika really hasn't had an opportunity to use his much. We've only seen one Descent into Madness used, at least defensively, or in the middle of multiple players, to try and get any kind of heal value there. But certainly topping the damage charts is the solo laner for the Jade Dragons. Dragons feel like they're trying to pressure up for a Fire Giant, but just unwilling to make the commitment to the pull instead. Put a little bit of ward coverage around, but there's also so much ward vision for the Gladiators around that side of the pit, just making sure the Dragons can't pull a sneaky objective. And now maybe kind of dialing in on Kyrmi a little bit. Actually upgrades the Deathbringer right away. Doesn't wait until later game to build to it. So Venom Deathbringer for Kyrmi. He and Stuart will take down the Gold Fury, but and the Dragons are already to the right side. Fire Giant should be started up by this point. It has been indeed, but it's not taking a whole lot of damage so far. LASBRA not joining in the pit. Nika standing by just his own. Half HP on the objective. The Jade Dragons, they're willing to coin toss this one. They've done it many a times in the past. A dive in by PBM. Scary D can't even get in time. The Jade Dragons just take the Fire Giant, and they've cut off the path for Scary D to try and escape through. Mike goes in with the ultimate. The Dragons might lose a tier 1 tower, but who cares? They've got fire.
Fire on all 5 on a team fight composition, and time to push at that. I mean, you could tank this tower indefinitely if you're PBM. Healing from both himself, Hell, and Vote means that he is just going to be able to stay here forever. Scary D steps back up. If Fracture connects for Mike, might have just been Scary D's life instead. A full reset and not able to knock down the tier 2 tower. I like the idea from the Gilded Gladiators. It's, all right, well, we don't love our odds in the team fight. Let's go ahead and try and do what we can on the map. But if that's the case, you need to have everybody, everywhere on the map pushing something. You should have got a tier 2 tower, at least in left. The Gold Fury enough, not enough, excuse me, to offset the value of this Fire Giant. But even then, had the Gilded Gladiators shown presence around fire, it's not as if this Jade Dragons composition is good at burning or securing objectives. They're great at fighting over them, but the actual act of killing Fire Giant, I mean, we saw how long it took with 0 fight back from the Gilded Gladiators. Imagine if Kyrmi's there or if Snoopy's there to keep it a bit more interesting.
No crit. Some defense by Dardez, so doesn't have full damage output. The Jade Dragons, though, with their fire, have now taken tier 2 in mid and tier 2 on the left side of the map, and now pushing up for a Phoenix, potentially. Mike to the sky. Where's he going? It's right to the mid lane instead, as LASBRA sticks behind to keep track of Snoopy. Ultimate from Nika, now inbound, popped in the midst of the fight.
Snoop's
now
dead.
Snoopy is low. One more shot would do it, but he's
Living.
healing back up with this ultimate. Nika has to back away as he's taking a little too much damage, but between Fire Giant and all the healing on the Jade Dragons, he should be able to get his health back up.
Yeah, Nika's got teleport, so he'll be here very shortly. Mike will resustain as well, and look how quickly it happens. The Jade Dragons, you wouldn't believe it was just a fight under enemy Phoenix, considering how quickly they got back to full HP. Keep your eyes on Snoop. He's got no relics.
Scary D trying to frontline through, but 40% health. Mike down to about 20 of his own, but still healing back up. Scary D goes in. Mike as well, but Mike should go down in this one. He does. Stuart takes credit for that. But Scary D stunned out and dropped by Vote himself. And now the Jade Dragons low with a couple of members on the retreat. Inbound has respawned from his prior death. That's how long this fight stuck around. The Jade Dragons, they get the mid-bird.
Man, Mike creates a lot of space there, but was not ready for the instant cancel cavalry charge from Scary D. Scary D as well, not ready for the damage output that was waiting for him on the other end. The Gilded Gladiators have lost too much on map without being able to fight back. 5-6, I don't think tells the full story of this game. It doesn't tell the story of all the objectives that went by with 0 fight back, or the amount of structures that were knocked down without the Gilded Gladiators being present to defend. The Jade Dragons have taken so much and have really not had to work for it too often. That was the first true 5-on-5 engagement we've seen this game, and it was an enemy Phoenix. The Jade Dragons had to walk into the enemy base to find the Gilded Gladiators willing to defend. And now, having taken everything on map, worth noting that they didn't reset after the Fire Giant there. That is a lot of golden pocket that was just spent by the Jade Dragons. They are so much more powerful now that the Gilded Gladiators, I think, have lost the opportunity. There is no longer a decision on whether or not you want to defend fire. You can't.
Scary D's going to lose out on ult just from Vote throwing out that Fields of Love. That opens up an opportunity now for the Jade Dragons. 10 seconds on fire, but trying to knock down an extra tower while he's still got the time to do so. Mike walks in. He'll use his ultimate. Where is he taking these ones? I thought maybe he pushed into the Phoenix, but maybe now seeing that the Gladiators have shown up at Phoenix, not going to go that way. Kyrmi will split push on the left side of the map, takes out a tier 2 tower, but the rest of the Jade Dragons don't necessarily need Nika right now. He can teleport into Fire Giant while the team starts it up.
Yeah, or even if he needs to teleport is the question, because Scary D has been removed from the map expeditiously. Nika is not required at the Fire Giant. His attention better used elsewhere. Just distracting Kyrmi, I suppose. Scary D now twice, the only one willing to defend fire, and has been incapable of doing so previously. Just wasn't able to get into the pit. This time does get into the pit, but dies. And the Jade Dragons notch Fire Giant on all 5 once more. We'll pick up a Runic Bomb to boot. The Gilded Gladiators base already broken. You gotta think these left and right Phoenixes will go the same way of the mid.
We'll see how Mike utilizes the ult this time around whenever it does come back up. First time used on left Phoenix to teleport the team over towards mid. Mid Phoenix goes down after a couple of team fights. Then on the right tier 2, used it to push up towards the Phoenix, but immediately backed away once he saw how many members of the Gilded Gladiators were there. So now where will the Jade Dragons go? Starting on right side, Vote is here. Dardez takes a little bit of damage, but Vote can start slowly pelting away at the Phoenix.
That's not good.
But there's so much sustain on the Jade Dragons. They can stick around for as long as they need.
Stu uses the Dark Portal early in this fight. Massive bit of burst and kill secure. PBM just walks up, burns resources again. I mean, it's simple. Walks in, there's cavalry charge, it's gone. He's burned 2 ultimates simply with his W key.
Did throw out the Runic Bomb, but was destroyed by the Gladiators before it got value. Nika in the 1v1 versus Kyrmi is winning out there. And that's opening up for LASBRA. Fear No Evil catches out Snoopy, forced up into the ultimate, but out Scary D. And Inbound walking forward. Scary D's got no ultimate, but he won't be stunned out this time through. Big damage in the backline. Inbound finds a massive stun, but there's just no follow-up from the Gilded Gladiators. Everybody's so heavily poked out.
Yeah, watch him heal back up. It'll happen quick.
Oh,
that's
gross.
1, that's 2, and it's going to keep happening. Votes heal as well. Nika, instead, I've got a faster way to do it. I'll meet you guys at the Phoenix. We'll teleport back in momentarily. Relic Wasteland, though, for the Jade Dragons. Any bit of CC now that connects from the Gilded Gladiators, barring a cleanse from hell, will stick. And Scary D's got ultimate, as does Kyrmi. This one, maybe not as guaranteed as the Jade Dragons might think.
Mid Phoenix has respawned. Minions pushing down in. Jade Dragons grouped up as 5. Kyrmi on the flank. Stun connects onto Nika. Quick cleanse. A lot of poke back towards Mike. He's going to take a while to heal back up. Ultimate channeled. Where will Mike take the team? It's over back towards mid. Seems to be the call. And it'll only be Mike heading that way. Blocked off by just Kyrmi. Ultimate used, but Mike... Well, I was going to say Mike shouldn't go down, but a couple of crits from Kyrmi. That does erase the support. Both birds stand. Kyrmi in the 1v1 finds a pick onto Mike.
All right, J-Mac.
All right.
I know how it looks. That looked real dumb, didn't it? Looked like Mike just ulted in the mid on his own. He's trying to bait the Gilded Gladiators into rotating towards mid to defend the weakened Phoenix. That's the attempt. We saw Vote hovering on the edge of the teleport. Is he going to go with them? Is he not? The Gilded Gladiators need to, I suppose, identify that. And the decision was, okay, well, if they rotate, we'll go ahead and push. But there was no rotation, and the Jade Dragons could have seen that as well. So I think had they actually taken the teleport, things would have gone well for the Jade Dragons. They overheated. They thought about it too long and too hard and burned themselves. The Gilded Gladiators now with the pick on the mic in the best position they've been in the last 10 minutes. Want to take a fight now.
Massive damage to Vote. Jump in by Kyrmi. Vote now charged down by Scary and Snoopy. And the Gladiators will tie up the kills. But they've got map pressure. 50 seconds until Vote is back. That'll be 20 after Fire Giant respawns. Advantageous now for the Gilded Gladiators. They start to secure their perimeter around the pit.
That gold lead that was so massive for the Jade Dragons just earlier has been cut nearly in its entirety. 30 minutes in, 5,000 gold, nothing. And it won't remain 5,000 gold if the Gilded Gladiators are able to knock down this Fire Giant. 30 seconds on Vote's respawn. A major portion of the DPS for the Jade Dragons, I'd argue. The bulk of it as he tops the damage charts. This one, the best look at a fire for the Gilded Gladiators. And there's no confirmation or steal threat from the Jade Dragons. Snoopy's got best confirmation on map.
Versus LASBRA, ult from Kyrmi keeps him alive for a moment, but now LASBRA has taken down one.
Different.
Fire Giant is close. The Gladiators will take it, but Snoopy falling so low. Mike going for the chase, brings himself at Dardez, and now LASBRA showing up to the party. It's a double kill for the jungler, but might just go down to damage. So Stuart picked off in the back line, does manage to get one final auto out to send LASBRA back home, but 3 down on the Gladiators for just LASBRA. Scary might be running the wrong way, but not a lot of damaging kit until Vote shows up. And the Gladiators, they get fire, but they lose a lot in the process.
Only the tanks alive for the Gilded Gladiators. 30 seconds on respawn, and Vote's full HP with both relics. This could be an end attempt from the Jade Dragons. They've got the damage.
Teleport back in by Nika, Scary D, and Inbound the only ones to defend. 10 seconds left until Kyrmi is back. Dive in by the Dragons. They've got 7 seconds until this Circuit is back up. Vote 1 HP, hobbles away, but Scary D takes him down, and the Dragons have lost their push. With Kyrmi showing back up, he finds a taunt onto Dardez, and the damage is there. A second kill in the fight for the Gilded Gladiators, and maybe a third as Nika is slowed to eternity nowhere for the Cthulhu to go, and it's a double for the jungler.
So the Gilded Gladiators now given the exact same opportunity as the Jade Dragons. Will they similarly go for the end? They've got more time to play with. 40 seconds on nearest respawn. The only thing keeping it interesting are the towers still standing. The fact that LASBRA is one of the last remaining 2 members of the Jade Dragons. His ultimate detrimental. No beads for the Gilded Gladiators. If he finds a priority target, he'll crush the push on his own.
Red buff for LASBRA, tier 2 tower, slowed down so the Gladiators can push. Mike is here to try and deal with the minions. He's distracting the Gladiators while LASBRA and Kyrmi have their 1v1, but the Fear No Evil catches Kyrmi. The 1v1 bout goes in Kyrmi's favor, and Stuart takes down Mike. It's 5 seconds until Vote, 10 until Dardez. The Gladiators march into the Phoenix. This one might be close, but the Gladiators, they will not push into the throne. Instead, it's over to the left side Phoenix.
No, won't risk it this time. Dardez and Vote on respawn, and Vote does a lot of damage, but has no CC immunity, didn't have his ultimate available either. I think maybe the Gilded Gladiators could have tried for it, at least poke their head in. Kyrmi being so low. Probably the operative decision-making turn there for the Gilded Gladiators. The Jade Dragons, I mean, this is tough now. They've essentially won the game thrice, right? They've knocked down the base of the Gilded Gladiators. They've gotten Fire Giant on all 5. LASBRA actually diffs the entirety of the Gilded Gladiators in the last engagement. A double kill from the jungler, wins out on his 1v1, and does it so handily that he's able to join the fight again and find a second. But from the brink, and hubris from the Jade Dragons in their end attempt, gives the Gilded Gladiators their best map state of the set so far. And with Fire Giant quickly on the respawn, about a minute out from that, I'm not sure if the Jade Dragons now can really step up. The win condition of the Jade Dragons team fight is to take it as long as possible. We want to heal up, back up, war of attrition, death of 1,000 cuts, all that. But that is an avenue of play that is no longer available to the Jade Dragons because of the state of their Phoenixes. The longer the fights go, the further these waves from the Gilded Gladiators are going to start working their way across the map, slowly bleeding into that Titan room. So it's a complete inversion of game state. And Nika, no dash?
Does get up into the ultimate in time. It's only Scaredy pushing. Fear No Evil shoves back 3. LASBRA goes in for big damage, but he gets it returned right back. Kyrmi takes down 1. Mike might be the 3rd casualty of the Dragons as Scaredy chase him up on the horse. And in the backline is Kyrmi to find Vote. Vote tries to get away, but the damage is just too much. Kyrmi's gotten a double. Stuart picks up a double, and Kyrmi is just a couple shots away from taking down Vote. It'll be Scaredy to zone him away. The Gilded Gladiators on an ambush play wipe the Jade Dragons. A full house for the Gladiators and a win for game 1.
Man, were the Jade Dragons just expecting the Gladiators to be around the Fire Giant? I suppose so, but why is Nika rotating through the jungle on his own? Why are the Jade Dragons so far up in the first place? It's the Gilded Gladiators now catch the Jade Dragons unaware, and from the brink, having defended the base for 20 entire minutes, 25 to 30 minutes spent just losing the game, finally fight their way back in and close it out for game 1 of the set.
And these defenses is what we've been seeing a lot of from the Gilded Gladiators. Sitting back, holding out at base, waiting for the enemy to walk forward and make that mistake. Usually at the Phoenixes, sometimes in the throne room. And this one all starts off a failed siege on right. Mike goes over to mid by himself, leaves the team behind, and Kyrmi finds the 1 pick, and that feels like that was the turning point that the Gilded Gladiators needed.
Yeah, I mean, just a massive, massive pick there. Kyrmi has a phenomenal performance throughout the entirety of the game. I don't want that to be lost in what was a very convincing first 20 minutes for the Jade Dragons. KDs and the desk will break it down for you a little bit later, but Kyrmi's performance individually really does step up here for the Gladiators.
Kyrmi, a lights-out performance for himself, and the Gilded Gladiators now up 1-0 over the Dragons in this set. We'll see if the Dragons can bounce back in game number 2 right after this.
Yeah, I've been all the way up, yeah, sipping on the cup, yeah, all of someone fucks, yeah, never switching up, yeah, I ain't wanna grow up, tell her shit, show up, funny when I glow up, see my wrist is how I'm pulled up, whipping in the beamer to the top, I'm going, flipping my demeanor, I'm a flex, I'm flowing, they just want the clue, yeah, I've been on them road, yeah, I was born to go, yeah, they should've did the vote, yeah, way up, feel like I'm Jordan with the layup, shorty got me going all the way up, yeah, way up, yeah, way up, feel like I'm Jordan with the layup, shorty got me going all the way up, yeah, way up, yeah. Way up. Going all the way up, way up. Yeah, way up, way up. Going all the way up, way up. Yeah, been on here, yeah, and I feel like Nirvana. I cut like a ton, I'm off and I'm on, yeah. I've been on here, I'm flexing, I drop like a bomb, and they smoke all the cron, and I glow up, I'm gone, yeah. See me up, I go up, yeah. I've been all the way up and I flop, yeah. I ain't wanna be here when the karma come, but no, I'm gonna glow when I'm number 1, yeah. Way up, feel like I'm Jordan with the layup. Shorty got me going all the way up, yeah. Way up, yeah. Way up, feel like I'm Jordan with the layup. Shorty got me going all the
The Gladiators win this set, Trelly, and they win it through sheer grit and determination and maybe a little bit of focus, all of which you can find at home by getting some flavors, I guess, from advanced.gg. I was trying to think of like the proper name for it. My brain won't apply it. But you can go to advanced.gg now and pick up a lot of things depending on what you're looking for. You can get the Godslayer Ares bundle, which comes with its own shaker and flavor. And of course, that has been sampled several times by Dave, to the point where I'm almost positive the ones that we have in studio have been ransacked and might be empty by this point. They always get returned to their place. I notice they start missing every now and then. And of course, alongside those shakers, there is another one that you've seen on the desk here, the E-Shell shaker, the one that came out just, I guess a month ago, has looked fantastic, is fantastic, and honestly has a really good weight to it as well. Those E-Shell shakers are going to be going out of the store on Wednesday, or Tuesday, I believe, the 16th. Today's the 14th, so you have a couple days left to pick these up. While you're at it, you can get yourself a Godslayer bundle. And of course, while you're doing it, you should use code SMITE, because that's going to save you money while you're buying these things. It'll get you 10% off. You can get both of the shakers and the flavor, all of it looking great. Again, the E-Shell shaker will only be available until the 16th, so you want to make sure you get on that while you can. And of course, thanks to advanced.gg for the wonderful shakers, the wonderful product, and for being here with us in Season 10. Trelly, you're here with me now on the desk. You've also got an E-Shell shaker.
I do.
So you don't have to worry about it going out.
Maybe I'll get more.
Maybe you'll get more.
Who knows?
Use code SMITE when you do. The Gladiators.
Yep.
There's a point where it feels like the Dragons are going to end. And then the Dragons don't end. The Gladiators make what I would say is a really remarkable save.
I mean, 2 tanks versus 4 members of the Dragons. You just got to kill Vote. It's Scary D and Inbound. Vote's got both relics. It does not look good. But somehow, I think Vote dashed away, tried to get away from them, and because of that was able to run through. Once the Cupid died, that end siege kind of goes away. The picks start coming through as well. And again, the Jade Dragons dominated the early game. I mean, it really was objective after objective going in their favor until 20-plus minutes, something like that. After that point, it just didn't really seem like the Glads were gonna give in. They were really good at defending. The one siege, this one in particular, where Mike ults in, you think the whole team's coming with them. They decide not to. Kyrmi gets the easy solo kill, and where's the Jade Dragons? They're not sieging left. They just kind of stood there. I really did think that was going to be the end call. It didn't work out. And then of this, of course, Kyrmi spawns in right at the perfect moment to siege down with the rest of the team, get a lot of picks, turn that into an EFG, and that's just going to work heavily in their favor. The Gladiators show that sometimes just turtling in your base ends up working out for you.
You know what? They hold them out. They do what the Dragons have done to other teams and just outlast the Onslaught. Kyrmi, I think, has an incredible game as well on this circuit. Izanami looks really solid as well. I mean, there's so many moments you can point to as being successful. A lot of the death timers even playing into their hand. Able to break that Phoenix. We thought they were maybe going to go for an end, but they paused a little bit. Stuart 5-2-3. But it's a 10-1-3.
Yeah.
I think that really stands out here. Kyrmi on this circuit. We were talking about it going into that. We were saying that this is going to be a big god between these two teams, and whichever team got it was going to immediately find themselves in an advantage. Kyrmi thankfully proved us right. I was really worried when we got into picks and bans that both of these teams were just going to ignore it, but not only was it the first pick, he gave a first pick performance.
Yep, and also I think if Kyrmi's not having the pop-off he was, even when they were, I don't think they're able to come back in that way, right? You have to have someone on your team that is doing consistent damage, is able to stay relatively even or even ahead at times, and that was Kyrmi. If PBM ults in and Kyrmi doesn't have the damage to kill him in that spot, they can't really mount the comeback, they can't chase him down. I think this circuit was just integral to the comeback mechanics here for the Gilded Gladiators, and I'd be amazed if Kyrmi got his hands on it once again in picks of bits.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, what, Vamana, Marty, Merlin were banned? Merlin probably doesn't got to be up there, right?
No,
I mean, Snoopy's had a good performance, but was it 10-1-3 in Game 1 performance?
I don't think so.
It wasn't. So we'll see what the Dragons adjust here as we get into picks and bans for Game 2. Dragons will be first pick this time around, so they're switching that up. And Trelly, this actually puts the onus maybe onto the Gladiators to ban the Circat if it's going to have this level of performance. Marty banned out first.
There it is.
And immediately, not even a point of conversation for us. I was going to ask if you thought it needed to be banned.
Yep.
And I think you would have said yes, and they
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and the Gilded Gladiators, of course, banging away because they're not first pick anymore. If they have the option, yeah, they're going to grab that right away. If they don't have the option, they don't want to give that Circuit over to LASBRA, which I think is a very intelligent option. So they're going to take that one away, which means the Jade Dragons are going to ban away the Marty and the Vamana. Curious what they're trying to grab in that first pick selection. It was a very early on Horus and Hell for the Jade Dragons, and they're not going to be able to pick at least one of those for now. So will the Gilded Gladiators fear that Hell? I doubt it. There are just so many more prominent picks in the current meta. And if the Aphrodite does get through, that's something the Jade Dragons jump on. I've already said my piece. I don't think it should be something that's that heavily prioritized. Sure, it can work, but first pick, probably not the best call.
Nox, banned out alongside Vamana, Marty, Horus, who wasn't banned last time. You had highlighted that. Circuit, who wasn't banned last time. That means that Yemoja, Aphrodite, and Merlin all still up on the board from bans in Game 1. I doubt the Gladiators are looking towards the Merlin. And it's going to be neither the Yemoja nor the Aphrodite, Charlie. And it will be the Hercules trying to limit those first picks and only leave a little bit open. They go for the Hell. You're shaking your head a little bit.
I mean, I knew it was going to be the Hell, but I don't know. It didn't have the best performance for me. Maybe this goes back over to Mike's hands. Maybe Dardez doesn't take it. I don't know. I have so many iconic God player combos on this team.
Yeah.
And it just Hell
isn't any of them.
Hell isn't on it for any of them. Correct. It just seems like Dardez has such a fantastic God pool for some of these other characters.
Me you aren't sticking to the vote Hell legend?
No, I haven't read that one, but I'm sure it's a great read.
I'm gonna see if it even exists.
I hope it doesn't. And in this case, yeah, the Gilded Gladiators are able to grab that Merlin because it wasn't contested. It was banned away last time. Follow that with the Yemoja, and dare I say it, the strong top two. One switch up I would like to see is the Rama, either in second or third pick. It doesn't matter. They're both in the same slot here because the Jade Dragons were not able to grab it, and they did throw the Cupid out, which was fine. The Cupid did very well. But it just seems like if you really needed that extra CC, you could have gotten other characters to provide that CC.
I checked it, Trelly. Not
exist.
A single game from vote on Hell
Thank
competitively.
goodness.
But you know what they say. It's never too late. Maybe for some reason it starts here. No, I agree with you. Probably going back over towards Mike. Definitely gives them that ambiguity. We've actually seen it be pretty successful in solo in the past as well. Maybe not the best overall considering the way that solo meta is right now, but we just saw from Variety earlier today, sometimes you don't have to go for what's meta in solo lane to have it work out for you. Maybe Hell can go over there, maybe she'll just relax. Merlin Yemoja, though, feels like a very devastating top two to let through. And so I feel like this Hell has to have a lot of weight behind her to make those two worth it. Ram being hovered.
Love that.
And locked in. Surtur was being hovered. Haven't seen him in a hot minute.
Stop messing around.
And he's not going to be locked in. It's the Guan.
They're not going to play Surtur. It's Guan Hell. That's what it's going to be. And I do love the Rama. That's what I was calling for. I think it's a big switch up because of how dominant it has been. And a Cthulhu lock-in for the Gladiators.
Wow.
So it looks like Scary D wanting to put some sort of pressure in the team fight.
If you go back to like certain metas in season 8, season 9, and you told any competitive team that someone was going to get Yemoja Cthulhu on there, they're saying, oh, GG. Okay, The game's done. The team fights are there. I mean, that is a very devastating grouping for the Gladiators.
Yep, certainly is. And I think the team fight is going to be a mess. If you're living through the Cthulhu ult, you're not living through the Yemoja ult or vice versa. But remember, the Jade Dragons played a great early game. They played a great objective-focused game in game number 1. They just weren't able to translate that into their siege. So they've got the same amount of sustain. They've got that good healing. But the question now becomes, how are the Jade Dragons looking to improve their siege? LASBRA had the Hunbats. It was great. I was loving the ultimates. It just wasn't able to make that impactful 1v1 versus Kyrmi, which unfortunately happens so often. Like he did beat Kyrmi in the 1v1 once, but it just up in late game, where it counted, Kyrmi was able to get the better end of those trades. And the Gladiators are going to ban away the Hebo and the Athena, possibly fearing a double Hunter composition here from the Jade Dragons. If That is something that Dardez wants to go to. Again, I'm still betting on that Hell goes over to PBM and Dardez switches it up, but it could always be the Hell back to mid.
Well, with Marty banned out, we've only seen, I guess the Uller took his place in the Leviathan set where they threw somebody else just to try and get that presence.
Dardez
The Chernabog as well has
Dardez
been
has tried the AMC as well.
Yeah, you're right, and actually he played it just the other day, so some room for it. I was wondering what that last ban from the Dragons would be. Susano, you had mentioned. The Izanami goes on in alongside that, trying to limit Stuart a little bit. Bakasura, though, left open for Kyrmi. And if you want to know what this pick can do, just go back and watch Game 3 versus the Kings.
Yep. it has been pretty solid here for the Gilded Gladiators. I think Kyrmi's been loving this Baka pick. If you're able to find that quick farm, and you get some extra items online, you can make that Regurgitate known in the backline. It's very annoying to deal with.
Huh.
Terra hover tells me, yep, looks like Dardez will be taking the Hell back. They're going to grab even more heal, even more engage here with a Terra. And it's a Nemesis hover for now. And LASBRA is going to lock it in. A pick that hasn't been played in quite some time for many reasons. She gets out-farmed. She can't quite build into the crit tree as well as everyone else. She certainly can, and she does. It just doesn't get as much value. But I guess you're trying to shred through this Cthulhu and take some boxing trades versus the Bakasura. Especially when that ult's down, it gets a little bit easier. The shield does get tremendous value. It just takes a bit. You need some itemization before the Nemesis is going to be able to, you know, box up against Baka in that 1v1. A lot of different gods being covered here for the Gladiators. I imagine they're still thinking about their hunter selection.
I got a little excited when I saw the On Her, because On Her, I feel like, depending on the meta and depending on where things are, he gets locked in when your carry's feeling himself and he thinks he's going for kills, I feel like, right? You're not just playing. You're taking it seriously and you're jumping in. They go through.
That's what I'm saying.
On Her, the Neath,
They
the
keep
Apollo.
they keep hovering these silly gods, and they're like, all
go
right,
for Cernunnos.
we're just gonna pick the one you all knew we were gonna pick. Like, oh yeah, Surtur, sure. When Guan Yu's open, that's gonna happen. Nope, Jade Dragons bait us, and then the Gladiators bait us. But that's gonna be the auto attackers here for the Gilded Gladiators. They've got 2 Guardians, which is a tremendous amount of CC, and then they've got the Shred and the Burn for the objectives with Merlin, Baka, and Cern. Definitely an objective-focused team fight composition here for the Gilded Gladiators.
Now, I do want to ask, we didn't talk too much about it. The Nemesis locked in for LASBRA. We have seen this pick carry games. We've seen this pick have little impact on games. With Hell going back in mid, Rama alongside it. How do you like the Nemesis into the draft the Gladiators have picked up?
Well, they've got a little bit of single target CC, and that's what I usually look towards when the Nemesis gets picked. Who are you stunning and then nem-ulting so you can just delete from the fight? It's going to be the Cthulhu or the Yemoja, right? You use those ultimates on the tanks more often than not, until, of course, late game when LASBRA can just find someone in the jungle, ult them, try and find a 1v1. That is also a possibility. It's just difficult because you have to make sure that you've got that quick lockdown. Everyone's grouped up. You're ready to burst that target. If you don't, the Nem has a little bit of a more rough time getting to the backline, doing so much damage. She does have that late game hard carry potential. It's just, there's a reason we haven't seen her in a while. She doesn't farm quite as fast as the picks like the Baka, the Vamana, etc. So if LASBRA's able to get off to a good start, find some good farm, and then get active around the map like Nem can do, I think it'll be just fine.
Well, that's the question, I think, for him to answer. You had said it. They played the objectives really well.
Yep.
Now their team fight looks a little different, right? Yemoja Cthulhu brings a lot to the table. And then Guan Yu, Terra bring a lot to the table. It feels like both of these teams are going to be fight-oriented. You had mentioned the healing on one side, a little bit of healing to match that on the other. But does the Cthulhu presence bring too much? Does Bakasura, like his ult, Cthulhu, Yemoja, scare you a little more than like a Guan Yu, Terra, Nemesis combo?
Doesn't scare me. It should scare Dardez, though. The Hell is going to have a hard time. Yeah, the Hell has no escape. You're building the regrowth and trying to run away, but you're going to be run down by the Cthulhu and the Bakasura. I mean, Snoopy also has some incredible AoE to just throw your way, so it's going to be how long can you keep Dardez alive? Can you protect him? And if not, what are you getting while everyone's focusing him out? I'm thinking Hell is going to be the first target in these team fights here for the Gladiators.
The Gladiators looking for potentially the second set win of the phase and of the year. We'll find out whether or not they can do it here in game number 2 as they take on the Dragons.
That's right. Gladiators now 1 game away from toppling the Jade Dragons and potentially bumping themselves up a little bit on the standings in this division. It's a very close battle for that second seed between the 3 teams still in the Chaos side. But it's J-Mac, Miff, and Doug here for game number 2 between the Dragons and the Gladiators. I think Desk may be right to highlight, of all the picks in this game, probably this Nemesis from LASBRA. Seen mixed success in the few games that we've seen her so far this phase. How do you like it up against Scary D against Inbound?
Scary D and Inbound in particular?
I mean, okay, we'll just say in
Can you
general.
open the field for me?
Yeah. How do you feel about this Nemesis pick in general against the Gladiators?
I think it owns. Legitimately, I think this is a really smart Nemesis pick. I love her matchup directly into Bakasura. Bakasura, of course, has literally no way to stop the shield, barring hitting it until it's gone, all the while returning damage to himself and healing LASBRA. So if you're going Golden Blade and crit, you're probably going to match damage output in the late game with Kyrmi. But also, you're more of a threat to Scary D. This was a traditional counter matchup into the Cthulhu, Descent into Madness. Okay, where are your defenses? They're mine now, says Nemesis. And then the late game 4-1 split that we so often see, the 1v1 being the junglers. Kyrmi doesn't win that in the late game, assuming that he hasn't just got like 2 or 3 more items than LASBRA. So I think Nemesis, a very smart pick here. We've seen in the past when Nemesis was like top of the charts, just absolutely dominant, and you'd pick it regardless. And then we've seen patches where Nemesis is like okay, but more so a counter selection. I'd argue this is that version.
Oh, beads off of Snoopy, and a kill for LASBRA on a tier 1 tower dive as the wave collides in
that
mid.
guy's busted.
30 seconds into the game, LASBRA strikes early.
I mean, that's not even like a Nemesis exclusive tech there, right? I mean, he just walked up and dashed auto attacked with a slice and dice. Just about any jungler is gonna make that happen. Snoopy too far forward, too low HP. Too confident, I suppose. There's nothing Kyrmi could have done to prevent that. Maybe body block some autos, blink in front of him, but that's some like real heroic stuff. LASBRA just ran him down, and it was gross too. That was like in an MMO when a mob aggroes you and they just run at you. That's LASBRA. He locked eyes with Snoopy from across the map and literally just walked him down. Tough start for the Gilded Gladiators.
And not the position you want to be at. This early in, maybe a turnaround onto Mike. Not quite enough. Bubble is there to slow him down. Get a little bit of damage back, but a couple too many minions in the way for the Gilded Gladiators to keep that push back there. Inbound and Stu doing their best to hold out over on the left side of the map. They're having a Cernunnos Yemoja. You expect it to be pressure, but LASBRA with his first blood, he'll make his way over. But with Inbound being on that Yemoja, Riptide, a great escape tool for him.
It is, and it's not as if LASBRA really had a whole lot of kill pressure on the Yemoja. It was more so, let me get some of that Omi off you. Let's get you out of the way so I can grab this neutral farm, and does so well. Able to secure that one for the Jade Dragons. Meanwhile, in mid, Kyrmi has to make something happen on map if he's going to absorb more of Snoopy's farm, having already fallen behind anytime that jungler shows up and LASBRA isn't there to match up with Kyrmi. Dardez is going to pull further and further ahead, just now catching up his Snoopy to that level 4 mark. Gets involved, knocks Dardez down about 50% HP, but here's the thing, Dardez is playing hell, so 50% HP is 100% in 20 seconds, and that's exactly what happens once more. I wonder, where does Kyrmi go? How does Kyrmi get involved? Because he's not going back mid, I don't think, not anytime soon. Maybe a rotation over towards dual lane would serve you well. You've got a really strong counter matchup into the Terra, can prevent that dash very easily. Maybe not a rotation the duo, though, if Bobby's going to get caught like this.
No, the wall from Mike blocks off the Riptide. Nowhere for Inbound to go. Great play by Mike to block off his only path out. And now the Jade Dragons with 2 in their pocket can start to balloon up this lead for themselves. Still 500 gold. XP dead even, though. As the Gladiators, even despite their stumble early on in the game. In fact, Snoopy hits level 5 before Dardez does. Dardez been kind of pushed under this tier 1 tower, went for that rotation through. Meanwhile, Snoopy just keeping up his farm.
Yeah, Snoopy just cleared the entire wave. The goal, I believe the experience lead still belongs to Dardez, who hit 5. Before he clears the entire wave, Snoopy hits it off the 6th minion of the wave. So it's just that he cleared the camp, or the mid lane first. Dardez should still be ahead at this point, but still a phenomenal pick for the Jade Dragons. But is this the turnaround?
Kyrmi drops the ult. Mike nowhere to go. Transformed through. Low in mana. No cooldown. Slowed again by Inbound. Mike will try and buy a zone for Vote, but he just can't get there. Now LASBRA with the turnaround, slow on to Kyrmi. Stun will stop Slash, but it won't stop the snipes from Vote. All three connect, and LASBRA gonna keep his assault forward. Mike coming back up along with LASBRA. They can't tank up tier 1. It's a good stun on the Stu, but a better turnaround by the Dragons.
If Slice and Dice was just a second shorter cooldown, Inbound likely falls down there. Mike trying his best to get back in range for that stun. The slow would have helped out a good deal, and had it come in time, would have been able to continue with that chase out. Love the idea from the Gilded Gladiators. The fight looks good. You're able to poke out a few targets, catch them. Kyrmi places ultimate well, just not enough damage from him. And an unlucky situation where they're baited all the way to that tier 1 tower line. The Jade Dragons able to turn things around with the help of LASBRA, who has really got this Nemesis rolling in the early. Nothing has changed from Nemesis. I know it's been a while since we've seen her. She's not any stronger in the early game than she was previously. This is all play on field. This is the LASBRA difference. He just finds these opportunities.
Now up against Kyrmi. He's got to jump over wall, so a little fight over the camps at the very least. That one does go towards Kyrmi, but now Kyrmi might be in a bit of danger. Slowed down, hit by the damage of Dardez.
Whoa!
Double damage goes through, and a horn shard as well to try and keep the chase up.
No
One
way.
more shot, not gonna be there. Kyrmi gets to walk away, but Scary D will lose out on the blue buff because of it.
Man, that's crazy chase down potential. Just barely clips Kyrmi. With the slow does Dardez, and from there, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I said I much prefer Hell and Mid to support. The damage output in the early, what feels like a nearly unmissable ability in that Dark Stance 1, and some of the buffs to the Light Stance 1 as well here in Year 10 have made her very, very powerful at this portion of the game. Once you finish up that Doom Orb, I mean, a full ability rotation like that with your Horn Shard might just deal with Kyrmi on its own. And Kyrmi doesn't necessarily have the best opportunities to just try and shut down Dardez, especially once these supports start to rotate out. Still trying to figure out where Kyrmi goes from here. He's been the silver lining for the Gilded Gladiators for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Looks real good in game 1. Needs to get something rolling for his team here. Duo lane, always looking appetizing. It was just a slight bit more damage. All he needed on the last rotation through here. He's got it now, having finished the Golden Blade. But even then, the Jade Dragons, they're just not giving up too many opportunities. I mean, every time they've gotten aggressive, it's chasing someone who is too far in the map. It's inbound on the back camps. It's Kyrmi on the back camps. It's counter rotations. The Jade Dragons, they're not opening themselves up to these counter plays. They're not looking for over-aggressive dives or chasing into the jungle. Feels like the Jade Dragons are very much so willing to just take this to the late game and play for the 5-on-5.
Kyrmi going aggressive on Dardez, slows him down. Fast Aegis by Dardez and a turnaround by LASBRA. Snoopy does get the CC to stop him, and a jump over the Slice and Dice. Kyrmi will live on as well as Snoopy getting away from the 2-man gank, but now maybe a turnaround onto Inbound. Does find the double route by Mike, but no follow from him. LASBRA instead heading to the right jungle, and Dardez pushing up the wave.
Yeah, not a whole lot to do on map right now. The Jade Dragons might be nursing a lead, but I don't think they can move in towards the Gold Fury anytime soon. Could potentially catch Scary D here. Dardez has made the rotation. Just going to be poke. I don't think you can walk into the tower. But that's a lot of damage. Maybe you could have. I mean, I was not expecting 60% from Dardez there. This Hell's looking good.
Maybe some more. Finds the on Nika. That'll speed up the Dragons to move forward. Slow by Nika. Talon Assault channel up.
Good
and
God.
Snoopy's just got nothing going for him. Nika
Someone stop this guy.
will take him down. Dardez, he's got to keep up his onslaught of heal.
This
that
is
might not
gross.
be enough for Kyrmi. A jump over the wall will, and a Riptide from Mike. That's all that's going to keep Kyrmi alive there is the bailout from the heal, the bailout from Mike, as Dardez just does so much damage. He's already top of the charts at 5,500.
You know what, J-Mac?
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm thinking?
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I never want to see PolarBearMike play Hell ever again.
Yeah, maybe not after this.
Yeah, Dardez is just doing so much on
and
this
no
pick.
defense, second item either.
Yeah, why would you? He's found out that he is a threat. You know, there are no threats to him. He is the danger.
He identifies as the threat on this team.
Yeah, and he should. He is doing so much damage already. The chase down potential from his heal, and a Hell with a lead is allowed to leave her lane a little bit more often, which is something we've seen Dardez leveraging a good deal this game. Establishes his lead early, does not rest on his laurels, and instead gets involved on the map.
Mike slowing down Inbound as best he can, but just missing out on the stun. A little more CC, A little more damage. Inbound can squeak back to the tower. 40% HP on the Yemoja. Can heal up. He decides to throw out a couple of those heals around Stu. But for now, it's just dual lane nearly diffing for the Jade Dragons. Mike just off the mark with that stun. As between Mike and Vote, it's a 3-level deficit of the dual lane.
Yeah, that is tough. There's going to be a point where Mike is forced to rotate out of this lane. And when he does, the lane could go one of two ways. We might see Stuart able to fight back in, or we'll see Vote pull even further ahead because he doesn't have to split his farm as much as he has been up until now. Every bit of poke matters here. That's the nature of Ram in lane. If you're dropped low, that ultimate, a great kill secure, even upwards of like 30% of any of these HP bars, so long as you're landing every single shot of it. Neutral camp up, Gilded Gladiators on the rotation, and the Jade Dragons, as well as talking about, they're not willing to take these risks. I'm not even certain the Dragons realize how many members of the Gilded Gladiators are there, but they see the two. They see that the Gladiators are on the objective first. There's no rotation potential from LASBRA or Dardez, so they just let it go. Why risk it?
2-level lead for Dardez now on the Hell. Doesn't even go for a set of beads. In fact, picks up Shell, second item along with the Aegis. Trying to buy as much time to stay alive as he can, plus all his sustaining kit.
What's he beadsing this game?
You know what?
Wild Hunt and that's it? Like,
maybe a Riptide?
Maybe.
Maybe
you cleanse those. You cleanse those for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just cleanse that, walk right through. Maybe a stun from the Yemoja, a knock-up from Scary D, but
yeah, what's
again,
anybody really beads in this game?
You kind of just cleanse through that one. Well, Vote still got beads, but maybe that's just tradition going up against this dual lane. 4-man rotation for the Dragons. Inbound could get caught out here. Rooted in place. Slice and Dice can barely get to the Riptide.
See out.
And that gets him just enough space. I'm shocked. Never
He is not.
Never mind. He's not out. Vote went to the sky. That's easy snipes for him. Gladiators get the Pyromancer.
Is Snoop out?
And Snoopy, I don't know if I can say that he's out here. Nika does have ult. Mike is here, finds the root stun right after, and that's a death on to Snoopy. Credit to Nika, 2 for him now.
Well, at least the Jade Dragons didn't get the gold. Oh, wait, they did. They got the Gold
no.
Fury, yeah, and they got the kill on left and the kill in mid,
Well,
and maybe the mid tower and
say, at least
potentially
they
the
didn't get
left
tower.
tower. No, yeah, they haven't got any towers yet, J-Mac.
Yet.
We're fine.
Oh, no, they're about to get 2.
Okay, well, they got the mid tier 1, but at least the left tier 1 still.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is bad.
Oh, and it got bad
5,000
so
gold.
fast. That is.
7k XP.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Not ideal here for the Gilded Gladiators. Well, at least, you know, Dardez isn't so far ahead. Oh, he is. Okay. Well, the Spear of Desolation finished too. Well, he wasn't doing that much damage. He was. Okay. Where's the comeback? The Gilded Gladiators can at least lock somebody down with some like hard CC. Yemoja stun's pretty good. Who you stunning? Not Dardez. He's cleansing that for sure.
Not Vote. He's got beads.
Not Vote. He's got beads, and he hasn't had to use them just yet. Where is the comeback for the Gilded Gladiators? It's got to be team fight. You got to hope Snoopy gets some gold pretty soon. Maybe Kyrmi catches someone slipping in the jungle. I don't know that I love the Gilded Gladiators 5-on-5 right now. Okay, well, Kyrmi can't win the 1v1 against LASBRA.
there.
Yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
I don't know if...
J-Mac, I'm lost. I'm lost for it. I mean, at least Inbound can take his Riptide. Oh, wait. All right, he's locked out. Okay, well, he got that one.
He's got these Riptides.
And we're back.
Okay, he's back in. He's alive. But he's 3 levels down. Not a great position to be in. Mike, level 12. 1 level down from the highest level on the Gladiators. Only Scary D up ahead of him in that regard. Inbound uses 1 Riptide to hold back Dardez, but that's a level 15 Hell. I don't know if you want to try and keep him on your side of the map, especially with the damage that he's able to do. 400, 300 right after. Inbound just took 2 shots from Dardez and got put under half HP. Now maybe a full collapse. No, it's 3 versus 3. Dardez ages his. Shells still alive. It took everything from Kyrmi to get that. It's
they got him.
For 1, but maybe 2. Snipes from Vote. 3rd shot just off the mark. Stuart bailing out, but LASBRA pops his beads and will be able to finish off that kill. A 2-for-1 trade for the Dragons.
At least able to shut down LASBRA, or Dardez, excuse me. The only unfortunate thing is although Dardez is massive and has been dominating his lane.
It was all assists.
Yeah, it's all assists, so you didn't even get a massive bounty there. Unfortunate. Fortunate that the people that died were already worth just about nothing, though. 04 and 03 for Snoopy and Inbound means that, what is that, like 100, maybe 200 gold between the two of them? Split amongst the Jade Dragons. Nothing to do on map. A skirmish for skirmish's sake, I'd argue, in the center. And the Gilded Gladiators, who got credit for the kill, was Kyrmi. That's nice. Catches him up a little bit, but not enough that he's going to turn around the 1v1.
Nika, no ultimate. Could be a kill for Kyrmi and Scary D. They got to take up the tower if they want to do it. Kyrmi's got to get a lot more damage. Unfortunately for him, Nika and Mike are returning it right back through. Nika goes back in because Dardez is back from the grave. Kyrmi sent to the fountain by Dardez. His first kill of the game, but all the setup for him so far.
Big
Double slow, big damage from Dardez. They'll keep chasing out Scary D while LASBRA bats away at Inbound's HP. Scary D under his tier 1 is not even safe from Dardez. Double kill for the mid
left.
and one for LASBRA. 3 in a row for the Jade Dragons.
Vote on the retreat. Snoopy might have the flank here. Stu chasing as best he can. I'm thinking Vote's okay. Stop turning around, though. That's making me a bit concerned.
Oh, he rolls past the Wild
He
Hunt.
wouldn't.
2 versus 1 in the air. Snipe 1, Snipe 2 will do it. And Snipe 3 on a Snoopy for good measure. Inside the Blizzard, Vote will fight. He's got to roll away, though. Nika might have to be the one to finish this kill. Just waiting for that Tallow Assault. And more than enough damage. Snoopy's seen this one too many times. The Dragons are rolling over the Gladiators.
An unofficial DS side. Everybody on the Gilded Gladiators dies. Desynced a bit, fortunately for them. But it's the Jade Dragons dominating every single facet of the map. And now grabbing a neutral objective to boot. Pyromancer burning quick. Gilded Gladiators, though, they're here to defend.
Pyromancer fought over. LASBRA gets a big heal, though,
They got
back
it.
from Dardez. Gladiators get Pyro. LASBRA will not be able to chase because of the River's Rebuke by Inbound, the one saving grace the Gladiators had for an escape path out. But Dardez just going to heal the team back up. And the Dragons unrelenting in their push through the jungle.
Have been and will continue to be, I think, the Jade Dragons. Just got to keep moving forward. I mean, this lead is massive right now. The experience more significant than the gold at this point, and it is significant. I believe it was at 10,000. I read slowly. 11,000, excuse me. Time to start matching that gold up, and the only way to do it is through objectives, neutral or permanent. It doesn't matter. Plenty of structures to collect from. Oni Fury back on the map. The only thing you need to be concerned about now from the Jade Dragons is whether or not the Gilded Gladiators go for the Hail Mary Fire Giant. If too many dragons are on the left-hand side, the Gilded Gladiators do have the burn potential to actually look at the fire. And they're considering it. Kyrmi pokes his head into the pit, locks eyes with Nika, says, whoop, can't do that anymore. Gets the sound cue that Oni Fury has been taken, and things are becoming miserable to be a Gilded Gladiator.
Kyrmi steals blue. Nika misses Sunder. Mike's got stunned, though, and a root right after. Kyrmi half HP up against the frontliners, and, well, Nika will Tallow Assault most of that health back away. A Sunder is good, and a pop from the ult by Mike will take down Kyrmi. Can't even fight up against the tanks. Can't escape at this point. It was a concern if the Gladiators might start fire. Instead, it's the Jade Dragons who get it going. Scary D nearby, Inbound in mid, but unconcerned with trying to take this one. They're going to leave it up to Scary D, but Scary D, well, he's just going to get chased out by the Dragons. Dismount does Nika, but it's a double knockup to slow this down. Vote and PBM will just deal with fire, while the rest of the Dragons zone away the lone Cthulhu.
Well, Scary D is real tanky. He at least got that information there. Can survive in the team fight and perhaps set up for his team if they're ever ready to follow up with damage. Fire Giant going real slow.
It was just Vote.
Does eventually knock down here. Watch the positioning now of Dardez, LASBRA, and Nika starting to hunt on the left side of the map.
He just got back. Leave him alone.
I think they might have some kills here on left.
Maybe so. Dardez looping around. Inbound spots him. Nika's here, but so is LASBRA. Dardez already takes half of Stu's health. It's just Dardez, and now LASBRA's going to go in. Quick beats to get away, buys around the Aegis, and takes down Stu. The Jade Dragons can take literally anything that they want. They didn't have enough damage without Vote. Now they got Vote to do so. Kyrmi, big crits, jumps on top of Vote.
Can't outrun.
Can chase him down. Shell's not going to be enough. A Runic Bomb won't even save him here. Kyrmi can just walk him down. Double kill inevitable if he can find a kill onto Mike, but
so fast.
Mike is zooming around this map, and Kyrmi gives up chase?
Well, I mean, LASBRA was nearby, steps on a ward. Kyrmi doesn't want to die. I think getting the Fire Giant off Mike might have been worth a bit more. Yeah, if you're going to die anyway, you might as well have tried to get the kill.
Jump over the wall. LASBRA, that's one thing LASBRA can't do is jump over a wall, but LASBRA's so fast. From ultimate, from movement speed on speed buff,
Come here.
Oh, now Dardez is here. How much damage does Dardez do? That's a lot. Another jump over wall. Kyrmi goes into tower, realizes he's got nowhere to go. Dardez now on a killing spree.
The Jade Dragons probably could have closed out a bit more of the map in the time that they've spent chasing the Gilded Gladiators everywhere, but it's just got to be cathartic for the Jade Dragons now, who have notched 17 kills in 19 minutes. The base defense from the Gilded Gladiators, if we ever get a look at it, might be pretty decent. I mean, looking at their draft, Cthulhu, Merlin, both real good in situations like this. Just haven't been grouped up. Haven't had to group up just yet. The Jade Dragons, this is the first look at the siege. A tier 2 in mid, putting a hard stopper to their push.
3 here from the Gladiators to defend. Snoopy, the best one to zone with those damaging abilities. But once the Dragons group up, once they get those heals online and Nika to tank up the tower, it goes down to about a quarter, but not doing as much damage as you would hope. Has to go up into the sky. Now Mike in trouble. A couple of good shots. One more tower shot would have done it, but he lives through Kyrmi.
No
he
way.
wants his kill, drops the ult to do so, and now fighting away against some scary defense. One on the vote. That's a big damage taken offline, and Dardez being zoned out, but LASBRA will take down Stu in the 4v3. The Gladiators are losing this one now with some damage back through, and Scary D at full HP. Double knock up. The Gladiators have the confidence to step forward. LASBRA is going to get rooted by Scary D unless he's got the dash to get himself out. The Gladiators hold at the tier 2.
Perfectly placed Wild Hunt from Stu is what secures the kill on the PBM, who has to tank up, I believe, 5 tower shots there. Great play from the Good Gladiators on defense. I'd argue overconfidence a bit from the Jade Dragons there as well, who decided to push in what was essentially 3v4, became a 3v5, and then a 4v5 once LASBRA was able to join the map. Just real slow rotation from the jungler of the Jade Dragons. The Good Gladiators, their base defense is good. We were just going into it. It's a great composition for it. They'll keep minion waves out. Great AoE damage, persistent damage on field from Snoopy. Inbound space control. Stu, we saw what Wild Hunt does, and then Kyrmi should be able to get into the backline and clean things up, just being so fast on that Bakasura. So the Jade Dragons, maybe dominant on map up until this point, and certainly, let's scratch the maybe, scratch it from the record. They've been dominant on map up until this point. Need to actually earn it. They need to group up, play as 5, get onto these structures. These kills look great, but an 0-5 Snoopy, making him 0-6, how valuable is that going to be? Knocking Inbound down to his 0-5 as opposed to 0-4, how valuable could that be? Not very. The gold lead, it's minimal.
Dragons start up fire. No answer from the Gladiators. Instead, it's Kyrmi parading through the jungle, taking anything that his eyes happen to spot. They did take the Fury just a moment ago, so the Gladiators answered back at least a little bit, but maybe not quite enough yet. Kyrmi and Inbound pushing up mid. The rest of the team scattered across the map. Stu's going to head back to base. The rest of the Gladiators will now maybe have to have another defense. There's a hard defense at the tier 2 tower, which looked like to be a soft defense. But now we'll just be allowing this tier 2 tower to go down with only Scary D and Snoopy nearby. Not enough for the Gladiators to stop the Dragons.
And the tier 2 and mid's so weak, I don't think we see another defense here. Perhaps throw out a bit of damage, but don't dedicate your time to it. Jade Dragons will knock that one down quickly. Tier 2 on left, though. Make the Jade Dragons earn it, I think. You've got a healthy tier 2. The Good Gladiators look real good on their last defense. Might as well try and at least slow them down. The Jade Dragons have historically struggled in closing out games from this position. Remember game 1? I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here. This time, though, the Jade Dragons certainly able to actually secure their kills. 5-0-6 on the jungler. 3-0-7 for Nika out of the soul lane. 5-2-4. I mean, these slash lines are great. Got to put them to work now. And the Gilded Gladiators taking a play from the Camelot Kings book. If you don't like your odds in a defense, do something somewhere else. Have farmed up the entirety of the Jade Dragons jungle, knocked down what few towers they could, grabbed a gold fury, kept that gold lead as minimal as they can, kept it as small as they could. 5,000, 23 minutes in, significant, but certainly not impossible to fight back into.
Jade Dragons, their fire. They took their first tier 2 towers. Now working over towards the last of them. Over on the left side of the map. 4 Gladiators in mid, staring down LASBRA and Nika. Looks like at least the left tier 2. That one's going to be left alone. Gladiators not willing to defend up there. They've got a few pushing up already to their base. First wave of minions through, but the strength of this Gladiators composition, one of the problems the Dragons had against them the last time they faced off. This Merlin from Snoopy makes it so hard for them to siege in.
It does. 3-2 split. Scary D and Kyrmi making up the defense in mid, solo and jungle as Dardez starts his rotation over. That poke is not poke. That is a massive bit of damage. Only one ability connects from Dardez, but Scary D learns his lesson. Don't stand near that guy. This hell is a problem, and I don't see a solution, at least not easily.
Mike locked under the tower for a moment. A lot of sustain on the Jade Dragon side to heal him back up, but one more round like that, the Gilded Gladiators could be sending Mike home in the grayscale. Jade Dragons go for a 3-2 split. The Gladiators answer in kind, but now with the CRD rotating back over, scares Nika away from taking this one up. The Jade Dragons cannot break the base of the Gilded Gladiators with the last couple seconds of their Fire Giant. They'll instead mosey back through the jungle and take whatever's still up.
Man, that was a lackluster siege attempt on Phoenix there. Dardez, I suppose, has to be the difference maker, but he's spending a lot of time poking out Scary D. This could be it. If you can't siege, just get handed a free pick, Scary D. What are you doing in the jungle, bud? Why are you standing there? The rest of your team's still hiding in the base. There's nothing to fight for. Do you want back camps? 50 seconds to think about it.
Now Kyrmi versus LASBRA. A lot of damage back through, but now Kyrmi could be getting caught out because there's 5 Jade Dragons and he can't find a jump position. Snipes. They're not even necessary to get the kill, but we'll put 2 in the dirt for the Gladiators, and now the Dragons have a 5 versus 3 at the siege. Snoopy inbound. Stuart, they got to do a lot to hold them back. LASBRA's half HP. River's Rebuke to separate the team fight. LASBRA's locked in the middle of it. Inbound, trying to do his best to zone through, but it's PBM keeping the carries back by himself. Snoopy's got a lot of damage, but he just can't get in to stop it. Stun off the mark and left Phoenix down as the Jade Dragons now find their retreat.
What an insane way to have your base broken. J-Mac, they defended. They had done it. They literally crossed the finish line and then tripped in rest and recuperation. You know, that is absolutely wild. All Scary D had to do is not be where he was. He could have been anywhere else on the map. He could have been in the enemy base. It would have been fine. Had plenty of time to get back to his own. Just picked for free into a free pick on Kyrmi. They had done the hard part. They would have been able to defend the Fire Giant. Now there's enhanced minion waves working their way across the map. The Jade Dragons. I've said it a few times this game. You need to make them earn it, or the Gilded Gladiators need to make the Jade Dragons earn it. They have it. That was gifted.
Now, Jade Dragons back around the fire. Gilded Gladiators will play answer B. It seems to be to give it up since they lost their Phoenix, and if only one person steps forward, well, we've seen how that song and dance goes. The Jade Dragons get fire. They'll take Pyro. This should simplify the siege a little bit, get some of that damage on the structures, make these birds a little bit easier to take down, give you more time to tank them up. The Gilded Gladiators, they've done the defense once. I just need to make sure that they don't get a flat tire in the driveway as they've already made it back home.
Yeah, just close it. I mean, now, though, it's so much harder because you're losing map state naturally to these enhanced minions. You could just split the map the exact same way. I mean, the Jade Dragons will struggle once more. And the actual 5-on-5 in base has not changed a whole lot since the last time we'd seen it. Runic Bomb, the difference maker, given an opportunity, can really burst through one of these Phoenixes. But the Gilded Gladiators, they can do it again. It's just about getting across that finish line.
Inbound trying to help zone out with Scary D up against the Dragons. Left side minion wave now breaching the halfway point with another one right behind it. Only a matter of time before those minions start to get to the base. Gladiators might have to defend. 4 stack on the right. 2 from the Jade Dragons to try and fight off Kyrmi. Ultimate from LASBRA's enough to scare him away. Mid Phoenix goes down. Snipes from Boat not enough. PBM falling low, and PBM only with the shell stays through. Dardez keeps him alive and throws out some extra heals. Mid Phoenix goes down in the 2v1.
I don't know how it happens, J-Mac. The Jade Dragons, it's the exact same play. It's the exact same one that doesn't work last time, the 3-2 split. And somehow Kyrmi's the only one in his 2-man core to put up a defense. The Gilded Gladiators get split across the map. what could have been a free pick on a PBM lost because Scary D's on the way to mid to defend a Phoenix that had already died. Wasn't able to get involved and finish off what was maybe 200 HP on Mike. Back to full, by the way, with all the sustain on the Jade Dragons. And they get to continue their push once more at full strength.
Jade Dragons now pushing in. LASBRA on the flank to the back line. Kyrmi has to sit by and watch as he tries to walk in. Nika might have just gotten caught out here by Inbound, though. Rouge Rebuke will force his path a different way. Scary D finds 3 with the ultimate. Knock up is going to hit all 3 of them. And a Riptide will grab Dardez, but the follow from the Gladiators is not there. LASBRA in the back line. Now Kyrmi diving in, tries to take out Dardez. Does get him, but he goes down in trade. And LASBRA, the Menace in the back line, can't get anything done. He's falling low. The Jade Dragons lose 1, but take down Kyrmi. But still the sustain is there. The Dragons can push back up.
They can. It'll take a while to get back to full fighting strength. Where do they go from here? Left side Phoenix respawning shortly. Inbound, the only one on right. Stu on the way to help out his lane buddy. And the Jade Dragons may have stepped back up, but without cause. Right side Bird maintained. Left side respawn. Mid, not too far behind it. A couple minutes on that one. The Gilded Gladiators show once more in a 5-on-5 in an even team fight. When they're in position, the Jade Dragons can't siege them. They just can't do it. They haven't had the tools. They're not able to get in the back line, find those secured kills, get the priority targets. Stu's playing very safe right now. Snoop's doing the exact same thing. The only one who's falling is Kyrmi, and it's because he's getting involved, trying to make something happen for his team. And usually trades out at least 1 for 1. The Gilded Gladiators just need to get this mid Phoenix back. That's it. That's the final hurdle, and then we're back at a more even game state. Approaching full build now for the entirety of the Jade Dragons. Starters upgraded for everybody. True 6 slot, only 1 tier of an item away. Relics here or there. Still need some upgrades. Elixir before Relics, says LASBRA, and he'll do that. So an Elixir power for the Nemesis. Even more burst. But I don't think he's been lacking for damage. It's the ability to apply that damage where LASBRA's been struggling. Gilded Gladiators, they're making him earn it. And you know what? At this point, if I'm the Jade Dragons, I'm thinking to myself, not again. You know, not again. Not game 1. It can't happen again. But it should be a legitimate concern now.
Inbounds. Gonna keep them off of the Pyromancer for a moment.
It's a 1,000 crit.
But a big 1K crit from LASBRA will make sure
nice.
that one goes down. Now Fire Giant under the watchful eye of the Jade Dragons. Gilded Gladiators not gonna give this one up as freely as they had in the past. Almost every other Fire Giant has just been gifted to the Jade Dragons, whether it be a pick or just nobody showing up. But the Gladiators making their stance now inside of the jungle as the Jade Dragons recuperate their HP, get everybody back and around, push up some minion waves, and get themselves set up for fire.
You know, what the primary difference is between the 10 minutes ago where the Jade Dragons were just running across the map and dominating the Gilded Gladiators everywhere they made contact, is that Dardez is no longer allowed to just be that frontline behemoth. He has to play a little bit safer because of the damage output of the Gilded Gladiators starting to catch up. And he's not necessarily putting out the same level of damage himself.
Vote fast beads. Ultimate from LASBRA to catch Kyrmi, who will jump away into the sky. Goes Vote for some snipes. He's got to throw him on the damage dealers. Just missed out on Stu. Inbound is low. And Scary D up into the Zenta Madness, doing a lot of damage back. Dardez gets hit by the knockup. And Kyrmi is doing his best to get in this one. And it's going to be a kill for Kyrmi. LASBRA is down. Dardez low, healing up, keeping the team alive. As Scary D and the unkillable monster in this team fight has kept the Gladiators alive.
Someone's got to defend mid, and that somebody's name is Kyrmi. He'll keep the mid Phoenix up. The Gilded Gladiators 4 strong in the jungle. Might be able to look towards that Fire Giant. Scary D and Inbound, low HP, will reset themselves. And they've got time to play, 40 seconds on LASBRA's respawn. But you cannot completely vacate the Fire Giant pit. The Jade Dragons have stayed on field and resustained fully. Still got the damage, thanks to Vote, to actually do the fire. Instead, they're just going to hover nearby. Going to try and defend it once the Gilded Gladiators started up. 15 seconds now on LASBRA. Takes about as long to walk from base to the Fire Giant pit. The Gilded Gladiators, it's a 20, maybe 30-second power play opportunity.
Mike has spotted Kyrmi, so they know he's going for the flank again. Fire started by the Gladiators, 40% on the objective. Mike and Nika to try and get in there. Vote. He doesn't have the snipes to get in. It's the Gladiators on fire. Vote gets stunned out. Vote is gone.
It's a good trade.
But so is Kyrmi. A 1 for 1 to start this out. but it's still 4 with fire for the Gladiators as the Jade Dragons, they'll back themselves away from the fight.
It's a good trade for the Jade Dragons, getting that Fire Giant off Kyrmi immediately and delaying the power play from the Gilded Gladiators, who would have loved to get involved on map and start looking at these structures. Now have to wait 40 seconds for their jungler to rejoin them. All that time, the Jade Dragons have spent on map pushing out these waves, finding their own opportunities. PBM steps up real far there.
He's by himself.
He's by himself, but he's safe because there is no easy CC lockdown for the Gilded Gladiators. Inbound, half of his, or 1/4 of his kit completely immune by the passive of Terra. Riptide cannot displace her so long as she's got some sort of structure on field. So it'd just be stuns and slows, and from there, maybe chase out too far. Never know who's hovering nearby in the jungle. So the Gilded Gladiators will allow him, PBM, to reset himself. Both Vote and Kyrmi rejoining the realm of the living. Only thing on the map that's easy to grab would be a Primal Fury. I'm sure the Gilded Gladiators will pick that one up, drive-by fashion. Tier 2s, you got to see them all go down. It's an enhanced Fire Giant, but only a minute and a half to play with it. The siege potential of the Gilded Gladiators is pretty good, I think. Merlin, just as good on siege as he is on defense. Scary D, just as good on siege as he is on defense. The only one that really struggles here will be Kyrmi. Having that auto-attack assassin find his way into the back line, just not easy.
The Gladiators start their push, still 3 towers standing. It's the first real chance they've gotten to be a little bit more offensive on the map. Mike's going to make it a little annoying, but not too much so. This enhanced Fire Giant is around the belts of the Gladiators. Tier 2 down and a push towards the Phoenix.
1 minute.
First chance the Gladiators have had to play offensive at the Dragon's base. 4 stack in, Scary D up into the ultimate, but half HP already. Kyrmi as well, forced to jump out of this one. Left side Phoenix taken out, but so has Kyrmi. Vote
time to
on
run.
Point with the snipes. Nika charging in, finds a double stun, gets the beads away from Stu. Mike hit by the knockup. The Jade Dragons have taken a lot of poke, but so have the Gladiators. Scary D under half HP and forced to retreat.
Got to be a full disengage here from the Gilded Gladiators. No lazy backs, nobody splitting off. Stay together and make your way out of there. You've broken the base now of the Jade Dragons. And in Kyrmi, just for trade, I think valuable. That's more than I expected from the Gilded Gladiators there. I thought it was going to be Tier 2's Primal Fury, reset for the next Fire Giant, have to do it all over again, but now it's an advantageous map state for the Chaos side, the Jade Dragons. That concern, ringing in their ears, in the back of their minds. Oh no.
Game 1.
Game 1, not again. Not again. It's getting close, J-Mac. I mean, this is just every time the Fire Giant has died and respawned, the map state and the game state have been progressively becoming better and better for the Gilded Gladiators. And now for the first time, I think you could even say they're in the driver's seat. 7,000 some odd gold behind. Who cares? Who cares this late in the game when you're already full build? The only thing the Jade Dragons have got going for them are upgraded relics and elixirs. And not everybody's got an elixir and not everybody's upgraded their relics. So the Gilded Gladiators, I mean, this is a dead even game, but the mini waves pushed up on left. Someone from the Jade Dragons is going to have to address that. Best answer would be Nika, but Doug, if you want to watch him do it, it's going to take him a while. This Guan Yu does not clear waves very fast, and all the while he's doing it, the Gilded Gladiators take note. Okay, well, he hasn't started channeling his teleport just yet. We know the initiator isn't here. We can start stepping up, looking for vision control, controlling the Fire Giant pit, always on wave again. All right, let's see what we can do. Maybe find a pick. Who's around? It makes it so difficult for the Jade Dragons to take any space on map.
PBM steps up first. LASBRA in the mid wave. Teleport in from Nika, but it's stopped by Inbound. Nika can't get into the fight. The Gladiators gonna fire, and maybe a little bit more as Mike is caught inside.
He's alone.
Cannot get a shell to help him out. Mike is alone. Mike's
How's
not
he
dead
out?
yet.
What?
Scary D is trying for it. Finds a knockup, finds a swipe, but it's just not enough damage. Meanwhile, Kyrmi and LASBRA having a bout in the back line against each other. And LASBRA wins that one out. Kyrmi is down once more. The Gilded Gladiators.
What?
It's again Scary D low, but the Dragons winning the fight.
There is no world where there are 5 members of the Gilded Gladiators dancing between split rivers of their own creation, staring at Mike alone, and he gets to walk out of it. Kyrmi leaves the fight entirely to take the bad matchup in the backline. Fire Giant can't help you in a 5v4. Fortunately for you, the Jade Dragons weren't able to siege with it, and they won't be able to siege without it, but that is a massive fumble from the Gilded Gladiators. Good on him to get the Fire Giant, but that, and the conditions of that team fight, I mean, that's a game closer if they execute on it.
Mike should have been dead.
100%.
Mike should have been dead. He was at 200 HP when the rivers collapsed. He gets 1 heal from Dardez. And it's only Scary D going any damage beyond there. Everybody just gave up.
Why did Kyrmi want to fight LASBRA? I get zoning LASBRA. I get staring at LASBRA. I get keeping LASBRA out.
But this is what y'all talked about on the desk.
Don't jump on LASBRA.
That 1v1, that Nemesis shield absorbs that, heals him back up.
Yeah, drop your ult.
And reflects it.
That's so free. And it's not like, oh, at least I could body block his auto attacks. No, we got Golden Blade. He's critting. Like, you're getting AoE splash damage Ls. What is that? Gilded Gladiators get to start up their siege. Let's refocus a little bit. Fire Giant on 4. Kyrmi was never the primary benefactor of Fire Giant. Wasn't a primary part of the siege regardless, so losing out on the buff really only hurts his ability to PvP and re-sustain when he takes poke. So with Eat Minion, shouldn't be a big deal. The Gilded Gladiators, weaken Phoenix on left. They've done it once. They could do it again.
Kyrmi pushing mid. 1v1 didn't go well last time, but he won't take it this time. Minion not able to get in there. Gladiators unable to take the Phoenix just yet. Will be forced to walk forward. Do get it. Mike finds the root on a couple, but a stun on the Scary D is not going to be enough. The Gladiators drop down the weakened bird, and now will push over towards mid. Kyrmi is already here. Got the minion wave up and ahead. And will now start on their mid Phoenix. Scary D walks up, pops the thorns, and immediately a River's Rebuke to answer right back. Snipes from Vote do a lot of damage.
Phoenix is healthy.
The Gilded Gladiators have got to resustain back up.
They're resustaining quickly. It's only inbound low. Kyrmi in first, makes contact with Dardez, drops him to half.
But Gilded Gladiators can't take out the Phoenix yet. Need a couple more shots in. Snoopy and Stu stunned out by Nika, but
they got Dardez?
Bars, Dardez?
What hit him?
Dies to Snoopy. Gotta imagine it was an Eclipse just randomly tossed out at Dardez, and he takes one too many shots and no Aegis, no shell. It's a kill for Snoopy. The Gladiators find 1 plus 2 birds.
It's a reinitiation from Nika that forces the beads from Snoopy. Snoopy pops beads, walks forward, and takes Dardez's life. A simple pickup for the Gilded Gladiators, perfectly timed, so they can grab the Oni Fury without having to concern themselves too much. But the Jade Dragons, have they stepped up too far? Mike has proven himself unkillable, so I don't trust the Gilded Gladiators to take him out. Nika, though, doesn't have ultimate.
Doesn't have ult. Hasn't gone down yet. Meyer will not root anybody this time. The Gladiators are pushing back. Dardez is down for 25. The Gladiators,
that's it.
Maybe for a moment think that they could push forward, but once that stun connects with Scary D, it's a full retreat now for the Gladiators. Back to the Fury and a reset. Fire Giant, still a minute left on the buff timer. No, a minute until it's back up, I should say. Less than that. Gilded Gladiators now surge back to the right side.
Every single time the Fire Giant dies and respawns, the map state becomes better for the Gilded Gladiators. Previously it was the left Phoenix, now the mid, knocked down from the Jade Dragons. And the Fire Giant burning quickly. I don't think the Dragons can step up here. And if Nika steps up too far, River's Rebuke will lock him in. Can he do what Mike did?
Oh, he's on the Cavalry. Waited until it goes through. It's down to about half, but is out. However, that's 2 ultimates down for the Jade Dragons, both Vote and Nika using theirs. 1 to try and steal objective, 1 just to survive. The last tier 2 tower, even forgot that it was still standing at this point. Knocked away by the Gladiators, 5 strong at the Phoenix. Scary D up in ultimate, Mike in the middle of 4. He's forced them all back, same with Nika. The Gladiators can't push too far forward, but now Mike is low and Mike is finally gonna go down. Nika down to a quarter HP. And the Phoenix under siege. The Gladiators have completely broken open the base of the Dragons.
I can't believe that call from the Jade Dragons to just jump into the back line of the Gladiators. I mean, Mike connects Earthen Fury with all 5, but with no ultimate follow-up, there was no damage. Now it's the Gilded Gladiators who have broken the base entirely from the Jade Dragons. Scary D will rejoin his team, teleporting in. A little bit far behind, and no ultimate means that Cthulhu really mitigating his efficacy here. Left side starting to push forward, right side with the Gilded Gladiators. And 30 seconds on Mike. It's a 5v4 with a very long, full-stacked EFG 5-man team and in a minute and a half.
30 seconds still PBM. 5 seconds left until River's Rebuke is up. LASBRA versus Scary D is not going LASBRA's way. Once Inbound gets that ult, could be the push back in. Vote caught out. LASBRA to the back line. Stu beads and Aegis to get away, but he will not survive. Snipes Not enough onto Snoopy, but he takes out Dardez all the while. Kyrmi drops one in the back line. It is still 3 alive, and Kyrmi takes out LASBRA. The Gladiators hold on. They maintain their composure, and they fight back against the Jade Dragons for the 2-0 sweep.
44 minutes, and not a second of it was convincing, was it? It is comeback after comeback for the Gilded Gladiators, the Jade Dragons. When they go home, I can only imagine what the coach has got to say to them about their ability to siege here. Props to the Gilded Gladiators. That is mental fortitude and a massive bump for their morale. First game back with Scary D, and it's a good look at the team.
Man, just the resiliency of the Gilded Gladiators throughout this entire set. Game number 1, losing out on most of the game, holding out on a defense, then able to get a fire giant. You know what? Let's talk about them both, because that's exactly how it goes for both games. Dragons start out so great. They get 6,000 to 10,000 gold up.
Yeah, we're talking about both games still.
But they just can't get past the Phoenix. They take a Phoenix this game, but not much more beyond there. The Gilded Gladiators, this is a team that just gives me almost flashbacks to the old SK days where they'll just hold on at their Phoenixes. You just can't take them down no matter how far they are back. Maybe not quite to the same extreme, but maybe at least that same kind of light there. Gilded Gladiators hold on. It's a 2-0 for them to win this one out. That's it for Miff and I on the cast. Throw it to the desk to break it down.
Hey, he said everything we needed to, Trelly. Gladiators hold on. That's how this set goes, man. It is, I mean, almost devastating. Like, me and you were sitting there thinking, okay, all right, so about 20 minutes this goes 3. We're going to wait.
13-1.
Yep.
And then later it was like 18-4, and I was like, that's better, but like not by much. So still, not much to look at. But the siege, that was it. You could highlight the siege, or you could just highlight the defense of the Gilded Gladiators, I suppose. One of them was really good or really bad, and in this case, I think the Gladiators were able to hold on. The team comp, yeah, it had a lot of healing, and that I think is the big difference maker, right? It was a lot of PBM diving deep, but where's the follow-up damage? Dardez is on hell. You don't have that much range. You can't really back up your dive in that regard. So it was a lot of just hoping that the damage would come through. The snipes from Vote would be enough, or even the dive from LASBRA. Those Phoenixes just wouldn't drop. And in this case, if you can't get the Phoenixes down, sometimes you overstay your welcome. And that is an insane comeback there from the Gladiators.
I mean, you had said it and called it out, but even there at the last highlights, 4-18, 5-21. But suddenly objectives, later on, they hold through. You had mentioned it, defenses, and then eventually the Gladiators get to be the ones who are making the call. You see here, immediately into the Fire Giant. A third the kills. But sometimes, Trelly, you just need an opener, and you need someone to create a lot of turmoil for your team. I think that Cthulhu created a lot of space for this Bakasura, which made it a really solid for them. But even at the end, you lose Stuart, you lose Snoopy, you feel like, oh no, maybe this is going to be it. Kyrmi, I think, makes some game-winning plays alongside his takes to get in there, get to the Titan, and get those kills.
Look at this part.
Yeah,
did anyone go negative? No.
Hell, Nika's 5-0-11, bro.
Mike,
it looks like he had a great game.
Mike and Dardez go even. That's as bad as it gets for them, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Actually, wait, yeah, everyone on the Gladiators were all negative. I didn't even realize. Kyrmi was close, 8-9. Yeah, but still.
Brings it back.
The defense.
And that just goes to show, Trelly, KDAs don't mean everything, right? It's real pretty on the left-hand side of the screen, but it's still an L, and that's what matters most. The Gladiators. His music, I haven't heard it a whole lot, and I'm sure that they want to make sure we hear it a lot more this season. It's a fantastic win for them. And again, Trelly, it's making things way more interesting, at least in the bottom 3 of the Chaos Division, than they were prior to this. But if we're feeling this excited about the way they win that, I'm sure that the Gladiators themselves are feeling excited. We got Kyrmi standing by for an interview.
Yeah, so I've got Kyrmi from the Gladiators. And Kyrmi, I'll just open up the floor with it. How you feeling after a win up against the Jade Dragons?
It feels really, really good. I think we felt like we should have been winning against the Ravens yesterday, but we griefed game 2 really hard, and then game 3, I mean, they just diffed us really hard, so it happens. Game 2, we were getting worried because we thought we were falling into the same pattern. However, we kept our mentals in. The comms literally were run it down, trade bodies, get shutdowns, right? Like, we need to get something. We need them to troll. When somebody's in right splitting and we get the fight in mid on the first T2, that was really good for us, and that just let us have all these good firefights, all these good sieges, everything. I'm really happy.
How do you guys do it, man? How is it that multiple times we see your team on the brink of death, sitting there defending up against your Phoenixes, and you just keep punching back, you just keep finding these defense? I mean, where does this resiliency come from the team? Is it communications amongst you guys? Is it just kind of a recentering of it? I mean, what goes through your guys' comms when you're down in games like this?
There's a lot of different things. One of the big ones is obviously our picks. Merlin's a really good defense. Cern's a really good defense. Yemo and Cthulhu. It really splits up the fights. This might sound more like a joke, but I am kind of serious. Losing so much does help you a lot because you have so much practice defending on these sieges, right? And we know that, like, if we just give up every time we're down, like, there's no way we'll ever win sets, so we have to keep our mental strong. With that, I also think that, I think Bobby and Scary and Snoopy all carried with their comms, and I think Stu was just owning every single person he could, like, lay his hands on in that fight. I think I got really hard carried game 2, so I think that helps a lot where my teammates are just owning.
Man, to say that, even after you put up 8 kills at there, a nice little siege kind of at the end. Kyrmi, you got one more week to go in the regular season. You've now tied up as far as wins are concerned across your division. I believe it's 2 and 6 across the board for everybody. You think that this could be the jump up, moving from 4th? Think you guys have a shot at making that 2nd seed?
We definitely have a shot, yeah. I think, obviously, 2 to 4 is really close for everybody. Onis are just too far ahead. I don't know who we play. I think it's what, Levi's and...
I think it's Levi and Oni.
Yeah, Levi's and Onis. Yeah, it's definitely doable. And if we win, it's really nice. If we don't, for me right now, and I think for the team as a whole, it's just about getting good practice and building good habits leading up to Masters. That's what really matters more than the wins, right? It'd be nice to get the wins because it feels really good, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make enough of a difference compared to playing well.
Yeah, I think definitely a massive improvement for your team coming up here in this phase. Kyrmi, congratulations on the 2-0, man. You guys have earned it. I'll let you get back with the team to celebrate.
Thank you.
We'll throw it back to the desk.
Hey, win's a win, and is a win, Trelly. And this, again, is good for the Gladiator. Standing-wise, win-loss-wise, things are going to look pretty, I'm going to say, tumultuous over there. And it's just because so much is very similar, except for the Warriors. But what it does mean for them, of course, then is that we start looking at plus-minuses. We start maybe leaning a little further in. A lot of 0-2 losses for the Gladiators to start this phase. But a 1-2 loss earlier this week, a 2-0 win here. These make huge differences for them, and I'm sure have to feel good as they start moving forward. Like they said, next week they're going to be playing the Warriors. So that one's going to be an interesting one for them. And I believe they are also going to be taking on the Leviathan. So that is, yes, another one that is maybe challenging, but also they stepped up to the challenge today, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer for us next week. Next up, though, the Hounds and the Ravens, Trelly. And when we take a peek at the standings, not only is now the Chaos side looking very interesting because there's a lot of 2 and 6s in second.
Oh, boy.
You'll notice a lot of the numbers on the left side are a lot closer, right? 8 and 0 is hard to catch up with if you're on the right-hand side of the screen. The Warriors, they're the first seed. They're going to Masters. We already know that part. The Order division suddenly looks interesting. A win here, and you're tied 5 and 3 with the Kings between the Hounds and the Ravens. A win here, and you bump yourself up over the Ravens despite maybe a rockier start than they would have wanted for the Hounds. So definitely some interesting aspects between these two games. Looking at next week as well, Ferrymen start to enter that conversation. I believe, if I'm right, the Ravens, alongside this, will play the Ferrymen and the Kings, and the Hounds next week will also play the Ferrymen and the Kings. So if you thought that the Order division was going to be done after today, well, there's a lot that can still happen on that left-hand side, but it does start in this 2nd seed spot right now. This fight for first, potential for either of these teams, a win here, and then potentially beating the Kings next week could give them the win-loss record they need to take first and get that path directly to Masters. How are you feeling about Ravens Hounds?
I mean, it's going to be a banger. We know that much at the very least.
Yeah, that's a guarantee.
And it's going to shake up the standings. I think both of these teams, I'm not going to say need a win, because at this point they're building up some more momentum. They're coming off of some good habits, and I think I just hope for high kill counts. That's the bottom line, right? I want to see big numbers in the top left and right of my screen.
And you know what? Sometimes, Trelly, it's just that simple. You got that a little bit. This last one, it was a high kill count that was one-sided for a while, but you still got the high kill count. Yep. Gladiators end up winning their set. Hounds and Ravens is going to be up next. And one, Trelly, that I can't get over how close that division is. After all of this, if you had told me that there was going to be a single team that was 8 and 0 by the end of the phase, I would have leaned towards the Kings with how they've been playing. Lo and behold, how things shift, how things change, and now it's up to these two. A battle for second, maybe a battle for first is what they're leaning into. Whoever wins this has an advantage. We'll find out who it's going to be right after this.
I got it so bad, I got it bad for you. You give me good love, you're like a dream come true. They say it won't last, they say you're wild and free. I know you never were a one-man woman, I was hoping you would give that all up for me. I get so confused, I love it when it's on.
What's up, SMITE fans? It's Trelly here, and the SPL playoffs are just around the corner. June 1st through June 4th, mark your calendars. The top team from each division automatically qualifies to Masters. That leaves us with 6 teams left. They'll play each other in a double elimination bracket to determine seeding going into Masters. 2 best-of-5s every day, 4 days, all live for you to see on twitch.tv/SmiteGame, and we can't wait to see you there.
I shouldn't doubt you. I'm all up in my head when I'm without you. I start to lose my shit. I just been hurt before. Stranger's t-shirt on my bedroom floor. Excuse me for being suspicious. It's just that I get so confused. I love it when it's only me and you doing all the things we know we shouldn't do. This is way too good, it can't be true. So tell me what your game is, girl. When you touch me, it feels so good, I can't contain it. When you love me, I'm so high, so confident, yeah. When you say I'm the only one, I must admit it. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. So tell me what your game is, Cause I haven't slept for days, not slept for days, yeah. Baby, love is never painless, no. Excuse me for being suspicious. When you touch me, it feels so good, I can't contain it. When you love me, I'm so high, so confident, yeah. When you say I'm the only one, I must admit it. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious. Just a little suspicious.